Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. And today we are back in our in-house livery. This livery is we've had for months now. It's hard to believe, but here we are. We're going to take it from Innsbruck, where we left it many weeks ago. I should have looked up the date actually. I'm sure one of you will know. And we are going to fly it from our lovely ORBX Innsbruck, which has got this lovely mountainous terrain around us. We're going to head over to Newcastle in the UK, get it back. It's been parked up for a long time, effectively in a bit of long-term storage. I'm sure it'd have a few parking tickets on it by now, but yeah, it's time to get it in the air again. We also haven't flown the ToLiss 321 for a little while, so I'm excited to get back into it. And there's a few extra things we're going to have to look at. We're departing a very catsy airport, as we know. Obviously my live stream into here was quite eventful last time we did it, so yeah, we got a few things to consider for the way out as well, of course. Those of you on the Discord will know that this livery has been transferred onto its first aeroplane in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so I'm looking forward to trying that out later on as well. Also of note is that we are starting to see we've got this this Jersey CRJ parked up with us, so it's yeah, it's great to see the CRJ making an appearance now on the channel. This is the busiest apron I think. Well, this is busier than than Innsbruck could ever have at the moment. I don't think there's any air traffic control, so that's going to be interesting, but we shall find our way through this. Great to see you all. Thanks for coming along on this. What day of the week are we on today? This is a Tuesday afternoon. Hello, Van der Veen, good to see you. Tango Delta, good to see you as well. Tango Delta says 39.9 thousand off to 40 in no time. Congrats. Wasn't long ago we celebrated 320 subscribers while you were streaming flights from your laptop. You're a fantastic YouTuber pilot extraordinaire. Thanks so much, Tango Delta. Yeah, so 40,000 subscribers. If we make that goal, guys, we'll be doing another long haul stream. It's looking pretty close. We're down to the last 100, under 100 subscribers left now. So you know, you never know. Within a few days, we could pass that, and then we'll be getting back into the A350 for a long haul flight to make the most of it. And yeah, that'll be. Well, I've got a few ideas and a few penciled in dates, but I won't promise anything. We won't count our chickens until they've hatched, so we'll make sure we have the 40,000 before we do it. But yeah, looking forward to doing that. I remember the 320 subscribers. We did a little special video when the channel reached 320 subscribers. Feels like yesterday. It really does. Chickpoint, good to see you as well. Dr. Darren Naho, I hope you're doing very well. Get this 350 service fueled and polished. Prepare the rats and unfiltered bleed air for the holdies. Get the best get Arabian coffee. 40,000 is hopefully here tonight. Yeah, we shall see. Maybe not tonight, but we shall see. Thank you guys, Joseph Mitchell, Andy H1302, thanks for coming and moderating. First off, Jaden AR, good to see you. Kai, I hope you're doing well. In the UK, the weather is too good. Sometimes something has to go terribly wrong. Yeah, it is looking good. But yeah, good afternoon, Wallace. First off to John, Kevin, I hope you're all doing very well. Rasmus, Toga Simulation, Santiago Perez, Eric, good to see you again as well. Again, apologies to the guys who I missed. Giuseppe, good to see you. CRJ on the apron. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have this disappeared just at the last minute, but they're probably, if they're in the cockpit, maybe they can't see us because we're slightly behind them. I have had that happen to me before when I've been on VATSIM. Ryan Videos 94, good to see you. Ryan Videos in the Easy, perfect, Easy next door. Been parked up for a long time actually, since I loaded in quite a while back. The plane is not cold and dark today, I'm afraid, guys. The simple reason is we've got a little bit of extra stuff to talk about on the departure. So yeah, there's we're gonna have to spend a bit of time on that. Matteo Chewy, good to see you. I hope you're doing very well, Matteo. Thanks for coming and moderating. Of course, Matteo's been here since right at the start as well, obviously. Yes, Papa, thanks for coming along. Our Discord admin and moderator as well. Ethan's Aviation, good to see you. Sven, Anthony, John Padfield, great stuff. And apologies, Swiss Captain I see as well. Yeah, we are back in Switzerland. Yeah, Innsbruck time. So, to be fair, you know, there's no problem on this overlapping aircraft. There's just not enough airplanes, not enough stands on this apron. So they've gone anyway. Oh well. But yeah, there's so many. I think these are static ORBX airplanes. This maybe this Thompson and this Finnair. But anyway, so we are powered up. So kindly the engineers have come and done that for us. Let me turn off that pump. That shouldn't have been on. That was for another reason that was on. And we're going to get ourselves out of here. So I've pretty much programmed the FMGC. If you look on the overhead panel, we've got our ground control on, IRSs are all aligned. We're not on the APU yet, but we are otherwise sitting on external power, fuel pumps on, we've done all our tests. If we come down here, we haven't set up the automatics or the departure properly in the FMGC. It's going to be hard for me to remember all the right words at the moment. It's been so long since we've flown the Airbus on the channel. Yeah, so just to keep you guys in the loop, there is our diff strip. So data is all looking good. In it, we're going from Innsbruck to Newcastle, alternate of Heathrow. It's just what Simwings gave me. Ridiculous. You wouldn't go that far south unless you were flying a A380 or something. But there we go. We're going to be the Manta 265, cost index of 11 up to 360. I've loaded in the wind. Flight plan at the moment, expecting a Kempton. Let me check that, what it's called. It's called a Kempton departure, which sounds suspiciously, or not suspiciously, it does sound pretty British. I don't know, I was surprised to see that one there. But there we go, Kempton departure, which takes us out via Mogdy and then Kempton, and then up we go, and we'll talk about that departure. The route, pretty straightforward, but all the way up to the UK. And then up to Newcastle, where we have some nice ORBX scenery. There's a bit of a discontinuity. Secondary, at the moment, it's just a copy of the active and the RadNav and it be are all to be loaded in a second, and obviously performance still to be loaded. So there we go. Sorry about that, guys. We got our bags on board. We are not too heavy or anything like that. Sven W says, thanks for the videos on the PA28. I got it. It is brilliant. Frustrating to compare your landing to mine. A lot of practice still needed. It took me a few practices in that PA28 in Flight Sim, Sven. Don't worry, don't you worry. But yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Dr. Narinaho says, when do the engine indications change from XX to normal? That'll be when the FADEC is powered. Yes, Papa is an easy 957. Excellent. Yes, Papa flying along as well down there. Yeah, so what this is saying is the aeroplane has no FADEC power, and there's a quirk to the NEO. We're in the LEAP 1A NEO today. If you go to engine, you can't see the oil quantity. In the IAE and the CFM engines, the older engines, you can. So if we want to see that, we have to go up here. I don't know why they added this into a new aeroplane. Turn on the FADEC power supplies. And there you go. Now you can see we have FADEC power, which shows the M1s and everything, and we can see the oil quantity. So when we're checking oil quantity before we go anywhere, we have to do that, and that's what you have to do in the real airplane, and it's a bit of a pain, to be honest. I wish it wasn't like that, but there we go. First officer says, sir, do you still do the full flight tutorials? What do you mean by that? I've never done a video that's a full flight tutorial, as it were. I do lots of tutorials on different parts of flight. Those of you who are waiting for my charts video, that is making a return, a triumphant comeback. That is going to re-arrive tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I'm hoping to get that back up on the channel. So yeah, it should be happening. Giuseppe is sitting on the apron at the new Berlin Brandenburg. Excellent. Sounds like it's looking good. So we are in the LEAP today, Ethan. So yeah, we used the Pratt & Whitney for our last flight. Dr. Darinaho says that minty livery sure reminds me of Jimmy Broadbent. Hope you know him. Jimmy Broadbent being the sim streamer. Yeah, I know Jimmy. Yeah, he's got similar sort of colours, I suppose. Yeah, yeah. So he goes for a more vaporware aesthetic. But there we go. Right. So what are we talking about with Innsbruck? Well, let's bring up the charts fully. And I did have a key assigned for this. It's not working today. I checked it too late. So we're parked up on the apron here. We're going to push back, taxi out, and I'm expecting to depart from 08. It's an easterly wind today, as we can see, which makes things interesting for our departure. So it's quite good, really. So light easterly wind. So we'll go with 08, which means, let me think of this properly. Yeah, 08, that one. So we're taking off. We're going to push back, taxi down Alpha, backtrack, full length runway. It's only a 2,000 meter runway. I want all of it. And we're going to head off in this direction. Then we come over to our departure, and here it is. So the Kempton departure, loads and loads of information. Initial climb clearance by ATC. But it does say the MSA is 11,600 in the Austrian territory. We're going to be 11,500 by that point. So I'm just going to put in 11,500 feet, or flight level 11.5, I suppose. The transition altitude is 10,000 feet. So, oh no, wrong way. There we go. So let's go to 11.5. That's the plan, unless our traffic comes and says otherwise. Pol9, thank you very much for your €20 donation. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Again, being far too generous with us, Pol9. Thank you so much. Pol9 says, have a good and safe flight. Thank you, Pol9. I hope we do. And thank you so much for coming along. And thank you again for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. And yeah, that's incredibly generous. And thank you for continuing to support us so much. So thank you. I hope you're doing very well, Pol9. And yeah, thanks for coming along today. Really, really, really kind of you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Simon, good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for coming along. Brianni says, hello, hope you're doing well and safe. As always, a like for another great stream. Yeah, thank you for the likes. Thank you guys for coming along. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you again to Pol9. That's a very generous donation. Thank you. Dr. Darinaho says, thank you. I did see one copy of photo with engine 1 showing normal numbers and engine 2 showing XX. To this day, it bugs me. Yeah, there's a reason for that. So the FADEX will depower after a flight. It takes a bit of time. So if you're quick enough, I said that we had to turn on the FADEX to see the oil. If you're quick enough, you can actually do it. So straight after engine shutdown, this will all be displayed. So what would have happened in your case is they probably taxied back in on one engine. So it's probably engine 1 that you could still see. Engine 2 was already crosses because they'd have taxied back in only on engine 1. So engine 2 had been off for longer. That's what happens there. Yeah. Anthony, the reason you explained may not look quite as good as we've got ORBX scenery. That's what's making our scenery look nice. Otherwise, it's all very default. I don't have many add-ons to this. Window seat, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Been painting. Excellent. Window seat, our resident engineer. Ethan says, from what I've heard, the Leap is louder than the Pratt & Whitney. Interesting, yeah. I can't comment. I just don't know, I'm afraid. Right. Anyway, so this departure is an interesting one. Let's bring it up for you guys. The magic of this is that we can do it also simply. Oh, not like that. Right, fill the screen. There we go. So, take off. We go straight ahead to 7.5 OEJ, the OEJ being this localizer DME facing the wrong way over here. It's all part of the wacky approaches that we know and love now into Innsbruck. We've actually got the description of it up here. Straight on runway track, maximum climb gradient, intercept the OEJ localizer via 7.5 OEJ, and then run NDB. Simon Schmidt, thank you for your 5-year donation. Really appreciate it, Simon. Simon says, glad to see so many planes parked just a couple of miles away from my home. Happy and safe flights to you all. Thank you, Simon. Thank you for your 5-year donation again. Thank you for supporting the channel so much as well. You upon night, very generous as ever. And yeah, we are filling the ramp here at Innsbruck. We may get away before air traffic appears. They may appear on top of us. We shall find out shortly. But thanks so much for your donation. Really appreciate it, Simon. And I hope you're doing very well. And you're welcome, Anthony. Thanks, Ollie Nut. Thanks for coming along. Khalil, thank you for coming along. I haven't got any plans to fly the JAR Design A330 yet. We have the A350 flight factor, so that's probably the next one we'll fly. Yeah, I've not had many requests for the 330 in X-Plane, actually. So there's our plan, run VOR, and then we're supposed to go to 4.4 OEJ. Now, the OEJ is on our right, so we're going to be getting closer. So this is actually counting down. Now, as you can see, it's not actually going to overfly that OEJ 4.4. It's going to make the turn earlier. I'm not going to fiddle with it because it's rare. And yeah, you're supposed to go via the 4.4, sorry. But I'm going to leave it as it is just because I've tried it out like that and it seems fine. I'm not sure what the airlines would do here. As I said, I'm not trained to fly into Innsbruck. There'll be a lot of procedures applicable here. Round we go, round our right turn, 4.4. And the idea after that is to track 245 to the Innsbruck NDB 422, which is here, at which point we're going to be above 9,400 feet. Now, remember, we're starting from 2,000 feet. So, that's not as bad as it might sound, but still, it's a pretty intense climb gradient we've got to meet to get around there. Then from Innsbruck, we're going to go up, meeting these criteria to Kilo Papa Tango. So far, so straightforward. But there's lots of things we need to apply here, which we're going to set up in the FMGC, which I'll show you shortly. Infinite says, do you get the terrible float plug in the Flight Factor 350? I've only done one landing with it. We floated a little bit. Yeah, I remember. But aside from that, it does float a little bit. Big wings, though, so maybe I don't know if the real aeroplane would float as well. But yeah, there we go. Rakon, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, Rakon. Right. Mike has just ordered the HP Reverb G2. Excited for it to arrive. Look forward to the PA28R with it and DCS. Yeah, that will be fantastic, Mike. Window Seats is our resident VR expert as well. Wood Aviation, good to see you. Everything's fine. I hope you're doing well. Okay, guys, so that is the plan. So what are the problems with this? Well, it's turn radius, isn't it? We are effectively flying that circling approach we did the other day, weeks ago now. But we've got to take off. We've got to climb really quickly to 4.7. And then we've got to make our right turn round and head out here. But we don't want to go wide here. Now, if you look at our plan, if I press flight plan, you can see that we're going really wide. Look at that. We're going way out. It doesn't even think it will get back to the INN in time. So how can we stop that? Well, one problem is at the INN, it wants to do 300 knots. You can see that over here. So we need to stop it from trying to accelerate so quickly. A normal takeoff, it's these are standard figures. It's trying to thrust reduce at 3.4 and accelerate at 3.4, so about 1,500 feet above the ground. We don't want it to do that today. That's going to be no good. So I've been sent a little helper sheet for departing Innsbruck, which is what we're going to use today. If air traffic come online and mess this up, I'll be really upset. Hopefully they'll keep us on this one. So a few things we're going to do. We're going to need to maintain the best climb rate we can. So how are we going to do that? Well, for the first time today, we're going to have the packs off for takeoff, or we can use the APU to supply it, but I'm just going to leave them off. I don't see the problem with that. So that'll be fine. I suppose in COVID times, maybe we'd actually run it with the APU. Yeah, let's do that. Let's run it with the APU actually. So we'll let the APU supply the packs. So master switch on. Time to get that on now anyway. Start switch. So we're going to have the APU with the APU bleed on for takeoff. That way, that will supply the packs instead of the bleed air, which means the engines will have more performance because they're not having to pressurize the airplane. The APU is doing that. If we had to use the wing anti-ice at some point on the departure, we couldn't do this because you'd have to turn off the APU bleed, because the APU bleed would try and power the wing anti-ice and it can't. It's just it's one of those rare sort of design quirks of the Airbus. So there we go. We're going to use the automatics as best we can. So I'm going to get that autopilot in once we get up in the air. And once we are up in the air, we're going to select the F speed. We're going to just pull that speed. So what I'm going to do is take off, and instead of leaving it in managed speed, I'm going to pull the speed and wind it back to the green F on the PFD, which will appear when we're in the air. The reason I'm doing that is to force the airplane back to that speed, not to let it risk going in managed speed and doing anything wrong, because it might try and fly a bit faster. So that is going to keep our speed back for this turn, but the plane will accelerate as we pass through 3,410 feet. So that's no good, is it? Because that's too early. And in selected speed, it just means it will go into climb mode. So it'll be all right, but we don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. And again, I'm using a little cheat sheet for this, as I said. So this is not all my ideas. We're going to put thrust reduction and acceleration altitude. We're going to increase those to 5,000 feet. Just means we'll make that climb gradient a bit more steep. And that will hopefully mean that we'll pass run well above 4.7, because we're not going to accelerate until after it, and we're going to leave the thrust. Toga takeoff, of course, as well, the other way to get extra thrust. So toga thrust for takeoff, get above 5,000 feet, and then we'll bring the thrust back and let the airplane accelerate. Engine out acceleration, apply the 5,000 feet as well. There we go. Good stuff. But the next thing I want to do is in the climb mode, when it does go to climb, so when it tries to accelerate at 5,000 feet, instead of accelerating to 250, which is what's causing this massive loop, I'm going to force it, or I'm going to pre-select, 154. And you can see that ring close in, because the Airbus is predicting ahead based on when its weight and the winds. It's very, very clever stuff. So now it has a fighting chance of getting back onto that radial and getting itself in there. So that's its plan from there. Out of interest, if I do a little overfly, so I'll go to the OEJ4, which is the point after rum, you see that little overfly there. So if I put an overfly here, you see what it does? It actually has a, well, that's why I'm not going to fiddle with it. I'm not sure what the real airplane would do for that, but that's a little bit wonky. I wouldn't really want it doing that either, so I'm going to not bother with that. I know this one works, but you can put the overfly to force it to fly over that waypoint, but it looks like it's trying to go left if you do that. So that's why I say most airlines will actually let you or tell you whether you need to fiddle around like that, because fiddling with coded things is usually a bad idea in the Airbus, but you may need to. In a secondary flight plan, we'll just put in a slightly different departure. Ooh. Copy the active. There we go. Departure. What am I doing wrong there? Okay, we'll leave that alone. Stop fiddling. But there we go. Right. It should enable us to choose a different departure, but it doesn't seem to be letting us there. Anyway, so what else do we need to do? There's another way, because as you can tell, the big problem here is do not accelerate until you're pointing away and you're safe and you're above all these restrictions. We don't want the airplane to accelerate. It's the one thing we mustn't let it do. So how do I fix this? I can also, in the flight plan, force it. So you can see all these points. It's trying to accelerate 207, 207. That's the managed speed. However, remember, we've pre-selected to 154. So it will actually go into selected mode 154. But the predictions in here are still going to be based on the accelerated profile, which is why you can see it at these lower altitudes than we actually expect to get. So what we can do is we can force it to stay at 154 by putting a speed restriction in at Innsbruck. 154, speed constraint. And now, it doesn't think it will make it, but yeah, we would maintain 154. It should apply that. So it's just another backup way of having that in. Great stuff. Radnav, we're going to actually select a few of these today. So let's have the Oscar Echo Victor DME in the left, which is already in. I'm going to force it in though. There we go. Hopefully that finds it. Oh, actually, no. In the ToLiss, it really likes you to do this. You have to actually type in the number. You know, in real life, it would tune the nearest one. But there we go. And we'll have the Oscar Echo Juliet on the right, which it seems to have done. So that's pretty good. So we need both of these. We've got the Oscar Echo Juliet for this. The reason we got the Oscar Echo Victor is in case of some problems, which we'll talk about in a second. The ILS can be left on the Oscar Echo Juliet in case of return. And the NDB, of course, well, you guessed it. We need the Innsbruck NDB because that's where we're flying over there. And there we go. That's displayed, and I'll have that displayed on my side as well. Great stuff. We can also increase our situational awareness with a bit of fix info. So let's have that Innsbruck NDB with a 058. Oh, this is more emergency procedures now, which I'm not going to go into great detail on. But there you go. So that's going to highlight that and put that radial in there. That would be useful in an emergency situation. Number 2, we'll have the Oscar Echo Juliet. So you can actually tune that ILS. You can see that, which is quite clever. Or use it as a fix info, and we'll have the 246064. Some of you may recognise this. As I said, kindly sent over to me, and then we'll have the NDB just highlighted in front of us. Good stuff. Right. So we're going to take off, fly this, get around this turn. Remembering, we're going to pull F speed. We're going to stay at F speed all the way around the turn. We won't accelerate until we're pointing out of the valley, basically after INN. But we can bring the thrust back. We'll do that at 5,000 feet as we get up there, which will be absolutely fine. First Officer Jaden, I've got a few tutorials on the FMC MCDU. You can have it in either X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yep, they're on the channel already. Dr. Darian says, in before ATC chimes in and gives a different sit. I know. Have ATC arrived? Have ATC arrived? No, we're still getting away with it. Fingers crossed. Right. Let me just jump into the chat very briefly. Mateo says, BA runs APU as performance is required for too long to stay packed off all the way. Yeah, there you go. So thanks, Mateo. Like I say, Mateo has been helping me out with this one today. So what we're talking about here is the fact that we're going to use those packs for that departure. As I said, some of you may recognize this if you're part of a certain virtual airline. But there we go. Brianni says, you never did Innsbruck, but how does it work in real life? Can you apply for that training, or is it just luck you get selected? No, well, it depends which airline. I don't know. Probably airlines have applications. If your airline flies there regularly, like some of these charters would, like First Choice, I imagine you don't get much choice. But I really don't know. That'll be up to the airlines individually. So, yeah. The ETA on the charts video is tomorrow morning. You can have a window seat indeed, Chris Patton. Dokuk says, insert speed constraint for a nice enough guidance. Yep, there we go. So, we are slowly getting through it. Good afternoon, Captain Dachi. I hope you're doing well. Let us finish this up. So, again, using this little cheat sheet. So, well, in fact, the next bit I knew already. I think we've talked about it before. Let's finish up loading the performance then. That's what we'll do. So, what I've done is I've done the init B. You can see that there. So, there's our 0 fuel weight. We've got 10.7, which is extra fuel. Anyway, no, I think I've actually dropped that. Yeah, 9.7, because that's the old school engine. So 9.7 gives us loads of extra fuel, even with the ridiculous 1.5 tons to get to Heathrow. And what I can do is go to performance, flap 2 takeoff, and we're going to take off from 0.8 flaps 2. No flex because we're going toga. We've done our thrust reduction acceleration. Speeds then 135, 139, 142. Clean 221, that's all fine. We've pre-selected our 154 as we go further than that. Good stuff. Right, so there's our plan. Again, this is just what I was sent through. This is one way of doing it. I'm sure all airlines have their own ways of doing it. The other thing to point out is basically what's the objective here? It's getting this turn in tight and not lowering the nose and accelerating and flying away. So how do we do that? We're going to keep the speed back. We're going to pull the speed by going to F speed after we get in the air. We're going to use toga thrust. We're going to have the APU bleed on, supplying power, pressurization. Just get rid of the ground power now. That's going to give us the extra performance. And we are still at 5,000 feet. We can still bring the thrust back so we can still reduce the thrust, but we just don't want to accelerate until we've done all of this and we're heading safely out the valley and we're happy we can meet those restrictions. We'll then climb pretty much a green dot. There's no point accelerating to 300 knots until we're safe for the MSA. As we said, MSA for this one, very high. It's going to be up in the, well, it's 11.6 initially, which is what we've put in our window. Should put 11.6 in there. There we go. And away we go. Right. Last little bit to chat about then. A few failure situations. Effectively, if we have any failures straight away, before we get up to this inbound point, we can just basically pull and keep flying up the valley this way and then do a right turn back in, hold over here. If we've already made it around the turn, we can keep going around the turn back to the OEJ, and finally after Innsbruck we're probably going to be alright because we'd have already made 9,400 feet. So you can see that if we've had 2 engines up until Innsbruck, what we're going to do is we'll be so high that even with engine failure, by that point we're just flying up the valley, and we'll soon enough make the restrictions. But we wouldn't probably make this 11.5 here, so you need to tell traffic, something like that. Does that make sense, everyone? Like I say, this isn't a tutorial. I'm not qualified to do a tutorial on this. These procedures aren't representative of any real-world airline. This is just some friendly advice I was given by a fellow simmer. So there we go. Push back behind us. I think what we can do... Oh, we lost our ground crew. Ah, that's a shame. How did that happen? Oh well. Hide all. Better get those doors closed before someone falls out. Close all of that. They were working. They were there when we started the day, weren't they? I hope so. Big fan of that. That's closing up. Right, so have we done what we need to do? Let me just check the chat because you guys usually spot if I haven't. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's see. No one having any major concerns. Thanks, Izzo5, for coming and moderating as well. Matthew Brown, good to see you. Thanks for making the stream. Alternatives to Navigraph, Jaden? Yeah, some of my audience, I'm sure, or some of the viewers will definitely know some good alternatives. First Officer Jaden, the easiest tutorial. I've got a, it depends what sim you want. But yeah, go to the website. There's all of the tutorials, basic tutorials as well on there. Yeah, the ground crew they decided to just leave. So let's check this. So we've got our speeds in, climb nav at arms. We're going to use that nav mode. We're going to climb to 11.6, but we're going to set standard before we get up there. We might delay that a bit until we know we've made some of the restrictions. 1FD2 is on. Overhead panel's looking pretty good. Just get rid of that ground power, actually. Gone. Great stuff. Seatbelts are on. We're going to get those engines powered up shortly. They've armed the slides. That can go to flight plan on the FO side. Transponder is... Oh, yeah, we need to just change one of these things around just as it's the way X-Plane works. Get that to norm. And I think it has to go to on, otherwise it doesn't work properly. Great. Right, let's run our before start checklist. Cockpit prep is completed for both sides. Gear pins and covers removed. Signs up here, on and auto. ADIs are in nav. Fuel quantity, we've got our 9.7 tons. And if I go to fuel, it is balanced nicely. No outer tanks on the 321. Takeoff data is all set. It's down here, and Barra F is set. QNH 1023, giving us 2,000 feet as we expect. Windows and doors are closed and closed. Let me check my thrust levers working. They are. Thrust levers are idle. Beacon can come on. Mobile phone's off, and parking brake is set. Right, I'm going to go to Unicorn, which I should have been on anyway. Oh, it's not working for us. Oh yeah, I whinge about this a lot, but yeah, that panel, this should be on. There we go, 1182. It would stay on in the real airplane. You wouldn't turn it off like that. Okay. So we're going for 08 departure. And everyone else has made it out. That's good news. There's the jet set. There's the queue. Is it 1182? No, it's 1228. What am I doing? Why am I getting so confused there with frequencies? I was thinking we should have heard someone. Is it 1228? Why am I getting this so difficult? Innsbruck ground Manta 265, pushing back from stand 3 for 08 departure. Okay.
All Austrian Airus 405, runway 08, vacated via Bravo. Ground to cockpit.
How do I get rid of that one? Why have I got one there? That's not what I want. That's completely the wrong way. Is there a way to do it? There we go.
From calibrated and will be holding and departing that backtracking as required line up from way 08. Behind.
Have I got that the right way round? What way round are we facing? I don't like the way this goes north up. This does confuse me. North up, we are facing south. So I need my nose to go to the right.
Ground to cockpit.
So that's completely the wrong way. There we go.
I'm waiting that the traffic's move on the taxiway.
Hold on, we've got problems here. See if I can do this a bit tighter, just because I don't want to be too close. Can it do that sort of a turn? Let's push us, just push us forward a little bit. No? Okay, let's go there. Okay, they're driving up. Finally, right, we're getting underway. 1228, yeah, thanks guys. I do apologise. I became convinced it was 1182. Right, I'm going to have the terrain display on most certainly. There's no weather out there. It's lovely weather. APU is all on. Good stuff. We're going to start the engine using the TCA pack. It's been a while. Warren Smith, thank you very much. And thanks guys, yeah, 1228. I'm glad Warrior Lads says 1228, isn't it? Yeah, that's some confusion for me. Alan Story, good to see you. Thanks, Alan. Alan's saying, yeah, if you can like the video, if you're enjoying it, do please let me know by hitting the like button. Thompson's going. That's good. And there's another Manta. Fantastic. Okay, well, we may have to wait here for a second then. Unless they're all waiting for me.
All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. Set. Parking brake.
Yeah, parking brake is set. Yeah, good point. There's a Chanix backtracking over there. I think I'm just going to push and get in the way. Unless this Thompson's going to go, but I think they're waiting for us, so that should be fine.
Easy 105, Mike. Taxiing behind the Manta.
There we go. And there's the Easy 957 pushing. This is what always happens when the airport's this busy. And I take this long. ToLiss is fantastic. Yeah, I agree. Full flat. Yeah. It is really good. Look at that. Oh. Let's let the Thompson go. And we'll let the Manta 1 for Mike Juliet go. Unless they come to a stop. We'll see what happens there. This is a free-for-all after all. So no one's in the wrong here. The only person that could be wrong is me getting in the way. Yeah, Manta CSL would be good, Lauren B. I agree. Thanks for coming along, Lauren. I hope you're doing well. Can we beat the Easy 105 Mike? Okay, they're all moving along, so that's fine. It's a good idea to get in front of me. I am the slowest always. There goes another Manta. Excellent. So yeah, we'd have 3 bright pink Mantas, which is great fun. I'll just let the Easy go, and then it'll be our turn.
Innsbruck traffic, Jersey 320, pushing back from parking position 6 for runway 08.
Oh, there goes the classic ToLiss wobble. Yeah, good question. Dr. Darren says, why aren't the fan blades green? The reason is, in the leaps, they aren't. There was a big discussion about this with Carter Joel when he made his mods. I thought they should be green, but no, they're not. So this is correct, yeah. This sort of grey colour in the leap engines. Right, back into the flight deck. Let's get the engine started. We'll go for both engines, obviously. Pressure. Number 2. Start the clock. And away we go.
Easy 90, pushing back from stand 2 for runway 0 base.
Innsbruck traffic, trying to exit Bravo Uniform Airborne 2500.
Pole 9, if you go to your country's aviation authority website, they'll have more information for you. Although it's EASA and it may be aligned, you'll still have an aviation authority in your country that will tell you. So for me, that'd be the UK CAA. There we go. We've completely got in the way of that EasyJet. See the Jersey push back over there. Excellent stuff. Engines ignited. Great news. There's the Easy in front of us. Waiting for that available message. There it is. We'll go for engine number 1.
Operation complete. Please set parking brake.
Parking brake is set. They're going to go away.
Connecting tow. Stand by.
What a flow of traffic we're causing here. This is great fun.
Manta 179 and taxi to runway 08.
Mardo says, what's the sensitivity curves for the TCA side stick? Oh, I need to do a video on that for the ToLiss. I've totally forgotten to do that. Yeah. Great point.
Jersey 320, taxi in.
It's nothing fancy. I had no trouble with the ToLiss, to be honest with you. I pretty much left it all as default. It may even be straight lines, but I will check that. I thought the ToLiss just handles so nicely. There goes the other engine. We are in our queue. This is almost a group flight at this point. Ground crew disappearing off. Available. Norm.
Tower is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. And signal on the left.
No, APU on. We're leaving the APU on for the packs. There we go. Yeah, so Mateo's point was, if we took off without the packs, downside of that would be we could end up getting all the way up to 10,000 feet without any pressurization. So that wouldn't be ideal. Right. Flaps 2. That should be a transponder here. And reset that. Set the trim. Now, the ToLiss NEOs are very, very fussy about the trim setting. Far more fussy, I think, than the real aeroplane. So if I go to fuel prediction, it has 28.4 as a CG. So I'm going to have to set that perfectly. Oh, no, I know what I need to do. I need to type it in. Someone did tell me that. Up into down. Oh, down 0.0. Okay, let's do that. You have to put it in here. So it's 2 and down 0.0. Apparently that stops it being so sensitive because yeah, it's I never have to type that in the real aeroplane ever, and I never do. I've never done it. But anyway, there we go. That should be 0.0, so hopefully we won't get that warning on takeoff, which I have had on previous streams. Great stuff. Right, so what have we done? So we got the APU on, we left that on, that's gone back to norm, armed all that, and we'll do the after-start checklists. Anti-ice systems are off, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is set at 28.0, and rudder trim is 0. That is the after-start checklist complete. We're waiting for the EasyJet in front, so Manta 265 following the Easy 90 to holding point Alpha. Okay, they're moving, so let's get moving then. As there's a queue, brakes released, spool up. Sorry if I missed any chat, guys. Evening, Crows and Moon. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. Good to see you here again. Let's do the brake check. Ooh. My toe brakes are not assigned properly, but I do have access to the brakes using that. Okay. What have I done to that? Oh, well, there we go. So I need to remember to use the brakes like that. So we're going to taxi very slowly. That's my fault. I did. Maybe I had this last time. That's daft. Yeah. Anyway, so at least we found that out there. Good job we did the check before we reached the turn. You do get an ECAM if you leave the packs off, but in the real airplane, that ECAM for the packs off doesn't occur until you're up and away in flight. Adam Mazur, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Toga Simulation says, guys, try and get the 2 minutes route set between each departure. The 2 minutes start once the aircraft is wheels up. Perfect. Yeah, I think we can do that, especially with the backtracking that's going to be required because everyone's going to be going full length. Ah, guys, the Cloudbot is asleep. Hold on, let me wake it up. See if we can get you that livery, for those of you asking. There we go. Okay, so give the Cloudbot a second. When you see the Cloudbot... Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. So exclamation mark livery should work. Right. Anyway, let's run some flight controls. So full left, full right, neutral, full down, full up, neutral. And we'll do our rudder when we come to a stop. Otherwise, departure, we're going to obviously take off that way with the backtrack, toga takeoff, pulling the F-speed as soon as we're in the air, getting the autopilot in, flying around the turn. At 5,000 feet, we can bring the thrust back to climb, but we're going to leave it and to accelerate after we're pointing up after the Innsbruck leg. Squeezing on those brakes here. It's going to be hard to do that backtrack like this, but there we go. At least it'll be quite simple to get the 2-minute separation. Parking brake is on. Yeah, no, need max auto brake. That is a really good point, yeah. But there we go. So flight controls, let's do our rudder. Full left, full right, and there we go. So the max auto brake comes on after you've done your flight control check normally. Now, these days it doesn't actually matter, but I believe once upon a time the logic meant that if the spoilers came up because you did your flight control check, there was a risk of it activating the auto brake. There is still a connection between spoilers and auto brake, but I don't think it can trigger it in the same way. I think that's an old thing. Anyway, let's get the radar. Multi-scan to auto. Picture windshield to auto. TCAS is TARA. Max auto brake and takeoff config. Ding down the cabin crew. Looking good. Looking really good. So there's brake max. Climb that blue 152, 135, 142, 11.6 to stop at. Engines nice and warm. Or they will be in about 30 seconds, so there's no risk of us needing anything there. And you can see our green line filtering up through the valley. Great fun. 08 is good fun for a departure, definitely. Dr. Daranaho says, just in, an SAA A340 took off with a 90-ton weight calculation error out of Brussels and on flat retraction went into alpha floor. Yeah, possible. Magic of the Airbus is alpha floors there, and it will actually lock the slats out. If you bring in the slats and you're going into low speed protection in Airbus, it locks the slats out. Alpha lock.
Traffic, easy 105 Mike, behind the departing Manta, lining up.
That's okay, Giuseppe. Thanks for coming along. Giuseppe from Twinfinite, gaming news website, who have plenty of news for Flight Simulator on there. Plenty of interviews and updates, because it's hard to keep up with all the Flight Simulator news, certainly these days. When I started, it was quite simple. There's our cue. Right, let's get the brakes released. Let's filter along. There's that Manta off. Oof, just about. Keep going. There they go. That reminds me. Get these lights on. There we go. Right, so before takeoff checklist, we've done our flight control check. Done our flight instruments, done our briefing. Is my tiller working? Yes, it is. That's good. Done our flap setting, config 2 green, config 2 down there and blue. F-main takeoff data, we've read. We've got 135, 147, brake max, climb nav, 152 and 11.6 to stop at. ECAM memo is takeoff, no blue. Cabin is secured, engine mode select is norm, TCAS is TARA, and packs are going to stay on, but we're using the APU for this one. This is a bit of a traffic jam indeed. I have tried X-Plane 10 mobile, yeah. I used to use all those different mobile sims. It's very good. The new ones are very good, the X-Plane ones. So the Aerofly, I think, is the best mobile one on iOS anyway. The Aerofly simulator is ridiculously good for a mobile simulator. Nothing simple indeed, Kai. Yeah, nothing simple. Right. There we go, pop brake. Good stuff. Good fun to be back in Innsbruck tour. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for coming along. We had to do it eventually. Patrick says, "Hey man, I've been following you for a while, but can't see your streams so often because of my job. I respect your streams. Thank you much. Learning much from you. Thanks. You're welcome, Patrick. Thanks for coming along. And yeah, I know I have a bad habit of streaming always at the same times. It helps because it means that, you know, regular viewers can always come. The downside is, yeah, people who work at those times often can't make it. But thanks for coming along, and I hope you get to enjoy them in the catch-up, and glad you made it along today. Simon Forrester says, I'm an X-Plane convert. I love the mouse dexterity and the detailed ToLiss planes. Yeah, the ToLiss is excellent, excellent, excellent. Mariner Halley, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. Rattling, no, there's no snow by default in X-Plane. No. Brianni says, whenever I fly, I have to use more than neutral power to get the plane taxiing. Is that error, or does it take 20% NG power? It takes 20% N1. I don't know. They idle around 20%. So usually the Neos will break away with just turning off the brake. The Neos need a little bit of extra thrust. The IAE engines will just go straight away. No problem. You don't need to add power. Brianni, Noah, Jericho, thank you so much for your $5 donation. Thank you, Noah. Really appreciate it. Noah says, always enjoy the streams. On the Neo, is the nav data still updated with a disk, or has Airbus updated that? Oh, that's a great question. Thank you very much, Noah. I really appreciate the donation. And thank you so much for coming along and donating to the channel. In terms of do they use the disk, I think they still use the disk, but I don't know for sure. That'll be up to Windows Seat. Windows Seat will know. Windows Seat are Airbus engineers, so hopefully they'll know, because I'm not involved in that. When you're, private jet pilots and general aviation pilots will be very up to date with this stuff, especially if they've got Garmin's and things like that, and they have the charts. There we go. There's the Easy 90 lining up. Lots of Easies today. Yeah, but in airline worlds, we don't do that. The engineers will do it when the airplane's in for maintenance, things like that. The reason is it's just not time for us to do it. Usually, if we're trying to do 3 or 4 flights and so on, there's just not room for it all. But yeah, good question. I doubt there's a fancy way, but there are lots of wireless connections to these airplanes these days. Yeah, so see if Windows Seats put the paintbrush down for a second. Marina Halley says, is there a certain distance to wait behind on taxiways, or just common sense? Common sense. As I've said before, the Neos smell a bit stronger than the IAE aircraft. Stop here, please. Thank you. Oh dear, having to run around like that. There we go, parking brake set. Yeah, so getting too close to a Neo, that's a good distance. Yeah, if you got your nose any closer, you probably start to smell the exhaust. That does depend on the wind, though. If the wind's from over here, you'll be fine. So, yeah, just common sense. There's no actual rules. You just don't want to be in a situation where you're taxiing along, like I just was just a second ago. You saw me struggling with the brakes, and that's because of my control setup today in the sim. But what if in real life you lose your braking just at that last few knots? There is a procedure we can follow, and we can bring ourselves safely to a stop, even if the main braking system fails. But if you don't give yourself that chance, what are you going to do? Manta 265 lining up Innsbruck 08 behind the departing EasyJet. Yeah, Windows Seat. Thanks, Windows Seat. Had to put down the paintbrush indeed. Yeah, do they update the nav data in the Neos using a disk still in the cockpit, or is it possible to do it any other way? Patrick says, I always fly from Newcastle. Beautiful takeoff and landing. Yeah, the 2.5 in Newcastle was really nice. X-Plane Mobile has the 737-800. Yeah, it does, and it's really good on as well. AC455, yeah, me too. That's it. As I said earlier, AC455, we've got the upcoming FS 2020 version of this for the first time. Right, lights on. Clear on the approach, clear the other way because our friend is going. Let's just check. Well, we'll easily get 2 minutes. There we go. So they're in the air now. I'm going to start my timer for 2 minutes. And let's finish our checklist. We've done cabin, engine mode, TCAS and PAX. Yeah, so we are ready to go. So remember, guys, toga takeoff. Autopilot in. We're going to accelerate after 5,000 feet and once we've done our turns and we're heading out to the valley, which is why I'm going to have the speed pulled so it doesn't just do it automatically at 5,000 in case we haven't gone around the turn for any reason. We can only use that toga thrust for 10 minutes, of course, but that's no problem. We'll easily do that as long as we have 2 engines. We'll do green dot even after we've accelerated. So keeping the speed back in nav. Now, if it doesn't turn tight enough around that turn, I want it to maintain 25 degrees of bank. If it doesn't do that turn properly, I can actually put it into heading mode and you'll see it increase the bank angle. But there's a bit of a debate as to what's better in the Airbus, and I'll maybe get a chance to show you why. I did fiddle with it the other day, and it made it worse because the airplane draws that green line, and it will try and stick to it, this sort of track.
So traffic is in Untitled Chapter line up behind the Manta 265.
So that's doing a pretty good job. If you pull the heading, yeah, that's great, but then the airplane was sort of counting on changing the bank angle as it went anyway. Right, let's see if I can do this turn properly, a bit fast there to do a 180. Okay, it does take about 2 minutes for a backtrack, so that's good to know. Yeah, you can see it gently running away. ToLiss have really nailed the ground handling of the Airbus 321. Really nailed it. If you go too fast like this, it just all gets out of control. You want to be down below 5 knots for these 180s. There we go. Nice ORBX scenery showing you all the marks of the tyres that have done this before. Pretty accurate. They do grind away on the runway. Right. Slower, slower, slower. Let's get lined up. Let's bring it to a stop. Okay, and last thing then, jumping in the chat, seeing what I've missed. I do apologise. I've just missed something. What was it? It was a subscription. Thanks for your subscription. And it's time to get going. So, Manta 265 departing runway 08 on a Kempton departure. So we're going to go back through the overhead. Our colleague in front of us is probably doing something similar now, or they're above us. Yeah, nice sunset takeoff. Right, so remember guys, toga thrusts, and then we've had our 2 minutes. Toga thrust, keeping the speed back around these turns. Let's zoom in so we're ready. Let us go. So, takeoff time. Start the timer. I'm just going to do a sort of rolling takeoff. You normally hold it on the brakes up to 50%, but I don't have that option today. 3 clicks forward. Mantoga SRS. Order thrust is blue and armed. Airspeed's alive. Great stuff. And away we go. We are reasonably heavy. You know, this is a charter flight. Definitely. 80 to 100. Stick to neutral now. V1, we're going. Rotate. Let's go. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav mode. And no need to mess around. Autopilot 1. Now, remember what we said? You see that the speed's up high. You're going to pull the speed. The airplane is better at following that speed if you pull it back yourself. So let's put it back to F. It gets more authority in the real aircraft. I think this is a bit sluggish. I think it should be pitching up a bit higher than that, but there we go. Right, here's our tracking then, straight ahead, as you can see. All looking good. Yeah, the APU is on to feed those packs. Yeah, I shouldn't have mentioned about the packs off thing earlier. Come on, airplane. So that speed will come back when we start the turn. We can't do these turns too fast. That would be no good. So you can see we're about to pass our acceleration altitude of 5,000. We don't want to accelerate yet, which is exactly why we've pulled F speed. Because the airplane would otherwise go into climb and try and lower the nose. You can see now it's going to climb. It's actually raising the nose a bit to be a bit more aggressive to meet that F speed. So 2 clicks back on the thrust. No problem with that. The nose will come down a lot, but we're already past our 4.7 requirement. So we're climbing straight ahead. The nose speed will get low here, but it's no problem. It should pitch down enough. There it goes. Gets a little more aggressive. Now pointed to that RUM NDB in front of us. There we go. Should have had that up. And you can see the INN in front, RUM 4.7 or above, which we're going to make no problem. Bit of a departing shot. There we go. You can see the amazing climb performance of these machines. It is ridiculous how powerful they actually are. We really don't appreciate it. But on 2 engines, you know, they're designed to do a lot of single engine stuff. So we can't accelerate until we've made this turn, because you can see, although we've made the altitude restrictions, if we went up to 300 knots, we'd just shoot round. And sadly, this wall of terrain is here. We've made good performance today, because thanks to that nice headwind on takeoff. But yeah. Right, so here we go. I wanted 25 degrees of bank, and it's barely giving me 20. It would actually increase that as it gets further round, but it's not ideal. What I can do, and this can increase your workload, but we're going all the way around to sort of 2.5 something. If you look up the chart, it's round to 2.45. So I can actually pull 2.45 if you watch this. Although we're going to go through it, so we need a bit more. So let's pull 2.55, and you'll watch it goes into open climb. Doesn't matter because remember we pulled the F speed. That's why we did that. And it banks now to 25 degrees. We've got enough distance. The reason we get, if we were slower, if we were nearer to VLS, back at V2 for example, which is why we pulled the F speed, if we're back at V2, the airplane wouldn't bank as much. It limits its bank when it thinks it's slower. And now you can see we're turning more aggressively. So this is good news for us, keeping us safely in that valley. Because remember, we could have an engine failure at any point. Now we need to get ourselves on the 245 inbound. So this comes back to sort of needle tracking really, doesn't it? We're on the 255 at the moment, so I need to cut in to intercept. Looking at my needle there. So I think the real aeroplane wouldn't have sequenced like this. You can see it's sequenced to the waypoint after INN. I think the real aeroplane would not have done that. But there you go. Now we're flying back into the valley, and then we can regain that 245 from our needle. Look at it moving that quickly. So above transition, we've made our constraints, so let's go to standards and let's start bringing that heading back to 245. You can see our needle is almost there. Incredibly sensitive now. Again, I think the real airplane would have no trouble just carrying on. We're above 10,000 feet. We're almost at MSA. So we've made our 180 turn. I'm just going to accelerate after INN just to make my life easier. I don't see any problem. We can keep the flaps out until 20,000 feet. Pretty high, but we can do that. Right, there you go. So pretty much on the 245, or the INN's about to disappear altogether actually. What we can do is, if I do direct INN, not sure if this is worth it to be honest. Insert, clear the discontinuity, insert, and now it's going to carry on that departure as it was up to KPT 39. There's 11.6, so we're about to level off. Speed out star. So we're above MSA. We've made the turn. We're completely safe. I'm going to push to accelerate. Now from here, you'd imagine air traffic clear us up. We're going to cruise today at flight level 360. So let's just put that in. Just come open climb. We should climb at green dot until MSA. Well, we're already through the MSA. If we have any engine failures now, just stay where we are. Got to get clean for that first. So above F speed now. Let's go flaps 1. We're pressurizing. We haven't got any performance restrictions now. Let's get rid of the APU. So APU bleed off, APU off. And here we are. So we did all of that climb on 2 engines before we even made it past the airport again. The airport now, everyone else, all our colleagues are way down there. So I was looking, there you go, you can see the queue. I was looking for our colleague, but they're probably much further, much higher up than I was looking. So there'll be someone back there doing the same. MSA. It does vary. Minimum sector altitude, minimum safe altitude. There's a few different contexts for it depending on what chart you're reading. But yeah, it's effectively the safe altitude. So you want to be above that to know you're safe for the terrain in that area. Ethan says you should see the 757 when she's at Innsbruck in real life. The noise is amazing. I bet it is. I love the 757 as you guys know. Above S speed now. Flaps to 0. Right. After takeoff, climb checklist. Landing gear is up. Flaps retracted. Got to wait until they are actually retracted. There they go. Now flaps are retracted. Packs are both on. We're on standard. Away we go. We have successfully departed Innsbruck. We're now just flying over the Alps as per normal. Great stuff. There you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's something slightly different. You don't have to brake on gear retract, Peter Bryson. Great point. Yeah, you don't have to brake on gear retract for this sort of aeroplane. You do on smaller ones. Nav says TA only. The reason it says TA only, traffic alert only, on the ground, the Airbus is very smart and it knows you don't want a RA, so it says TA only, even though we'd set this to TA RA. Now we're in the air, it's happy, we get TA RA. It's so nice not to update that heading bug, eh? We'll stop the timer. That was 7 minutes to get to this point. Not bad at all. And we're accelerating straight up to our sort of cruise. The triple click, Dr. Darren, is a reversion. It's the aeroplane telling me it's changed a mode without me wanting it to, or without me asking it to. I may want it to. So in this case, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was a vertical speed because we were near the level off. Yep, APU is off indeed. Oh yeah, disarm the spoilers, of course. Thank you. Oh, there you go. Flaps to 0. Lights off. Don't need any of those now. It's that flow when you get to flap 0. That's the thing with doing things different like this. You know, it gets you out of the flow. Right. Like YouTube says, I like these tricky departures arrivals because they even make professional pilot you think about the puzzle and how to solve it. Yeah, and this is a 2-crew operation, very much. So much going on. Dave N, you're very welcome. Glad you liked it. Michael says, great takeoff and a good reminder why I love the ToLiss. Yeah, this is the magic of the ToLiss. It you know, having all the fix info, it's just great. Really great product. There we go, and that's the end of our ORBX, sadly. Kev says, the ToLiss is good. Would you say it was better than the Flight Factor aircraft that I use at the moment? I haven't tried the Flight Factor 320, I'm afraid. So I just don't know if it's better or not. I know it's better on frame rates, but the Flight Factor's improved recently, I believe. So yeah, sorry, I wish I could help you. Alright, we've got a controller. Don't want to get in trouble with this one though, like we did last time, those of you who watched the CRJ stream. That's the next right turn. Langen radar, this one is. Okay, good. I'll try and use that. No, it's Ryan. I'm going to have airport. So if we have any trouble here, I'm not going back to Innsbruck, I'm going somewhere easier. Ryan, good evening. Manta 265, climbing flight level 3602, Kempton.
Manta 265, very good evening, identified. Squawk 2354.
Squawk 2354, Manta 265. 2354. Oh, it doesn't work, I forget. I did it on my radio panel, but yeah, 2354, there we go. So kind of ninja. Glad you liked it. Yeah. Call him Tenerife Radar. Slumber V, yeah. Oh dear. I'll get banned from that soon in my behaviour soon. Bounce says New Zealand Queenstown RMP 23 Zulu was very nice too. The SIDs out there are quite busy too. Yeah, Queenstown has been recommended to me. I got a great email describing some New Zealand approaches that I need to go and try. The problem is I don't have any good scenery there. This has got ORBX, so this is good. I think that would be a Microsoft Flight Simulator job to go and see the real beauty of New Zealand. However, at the moment, the 320 NEO is just it's not quite ready for RNAV until it gets the LNAV sorted, so we shall see. We shall see. This is X-Plane 11, Tony, if you're wondering. Brianna says, I'm so happy I get to go flying again in 2 weeks. A year plus is way too long. Yeah, that's good. I hope we all get to go flying this year. I really, really, really do. Right. Seatbelts can come off, let the passengers wander around. All looking good otherwise. Nice having all the TCAS working as well in front of us over here. So Brandon says, can you please explain step climbs? Is the out listed at the waypoint with the step your cruise out? Let's see. I talk a little bit about this in my charts video, which is about to come out. Step climbs, what a step climb actually is, so if you said step climb to a pilot, what you're talking about is a flight level change in the cruise. So what we do is we climb up, let's say we climb into 360, and I can show you actually on the chart, it's not a chart, but there we go, flight level steps, it just says 360. It might say at a different waypoint 390, or sorry, 380 in this case. The reason is, as you get lighter, you can step climb, this is what it's called, to a higher flight level, which might be more efficient at your lighter weight. In the MCDU, the Airbus shows us the optimum. So at the moment, the optimum is flight level 372. So if this was a really long flight, and I'm starting out at 360, soon enough the optimum will become 380. So I might consider step climbing to 38. What you can do is do that in here quite easily. Select any point, step altitudes, and then you can type in the altitude that you want to go to and the waypoint. In the real aircraft, if you don't put in an altitude, so if you just put, sorry, you don't put a waypoint in, no, it doesn't do it in the ToLiss. In the real aircraft, it will actually tell you the optimum point to do it. It's very clever, very clever. So we're not going to step out on this one, step climb, sorry. But anyway, talking about the charts, if that's what you're referring to, these are just altitude you've got to be above. But you can see initial climb clearance by ATC. So air traffic control will have to tell us. So they might tell us on the ground you're cleared, I don't know, 7,000 feet. Now that's not high enough, it's not high enough for the terrain or so on, but it could just be the initial clearance. If you're getting towards, you know, Innsbruck and you're not above 7,000 feet and they haven't cleared you higher, you'd definitely start asking, because, you know, we're responsible for our terrain separation. But yeah, so in this case you need air traffic. Sometimes it would say initial climb clearance 7,000 feet, it might write it here. Sometimes it will tell you to follow the step climb and it won't have anything written there, and you have to follow these. Again, my charts tutorial talks about this specific thing. And that's coming out tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow morning. Flying Doctor wants to go to lavatory, there you go. College Josh says, why are there such low speed restrictions around the departure? It's just to make sure we don't turn wide. The airplane can only bank a certain amount. So if we're doing 300 knots as we try and bank, it will have a much wider radius of turn. And that will bring us, yeah, we'd go out here and we'd be too close to this terrain. That's why. Aaron says, I can only fly planes in GTA. Yeah, I remember flying planes in GTA. Dr. Darren Naho, no, the charts video was released. I had to take it down. I released it again. I had to take it down again. So I've redone it and it's going up tomorrow. Yeah. Ethan's Aviation says, doesn't the 737 and A320 always have to step climb, but the 75 doesn't? That's what I have heard. No, the step climbing, it's not a must, you know. Well, it is for long haul. A long haul airplane won't be able to climb straight up to its cruise level when it's full of passengers and fuel. So it's more of a long haul thing, to be honest. In short haul, we do it on longer sectors, like down to Greece or something from the UK. But we don't need to do it every flight. It's just not worth it. So for this flight here, it would make next to no difference if we stayed at 3.6 or went up to 3.8, even if the optimum says so. It's just not that big a deal. But for a long haul airplane, going up to 3.6 and then or they might start even. You hear long-haul aircraft sometimes sitting at low levels like 330 because they're just too heavy. As they burn that fuel, they'll be able to climb higher. 757 is very powerful. It probably doesn't need to step climb very much, even when it's long-haul. Yeah. Tea kettle would be good in the cockpit indeed, Leo. Simon Forrester says, I really love the Airbus. It's so logical and in many ways intuitive. It is brilliant. Yeah, it is really good. Brandon M, no problem.
That's beautiful for Quebec, now I'm ready for descent.
Lou says, big fan of your streams video. What would you suggest to do when you want to become on VATSIM for radio communications? I haven't done a video on that, but pick an airplane you know really well, go to an airport that's not too busy, and then start off by just listening. See what I say in my videos. I pretty much say the same things on any of my streams where I depart with IFR clearance in Europe. I say pretty much the same stuff every time. But I will do a video on it soon, just the basics getting started. The charts was the first one I wanted to do before I did the VATSIM, and the charts video got delayed a few times, but yeah, that's up tomorrow.
Easy 957, hello, squawk 2147.
Rusty Dog says, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, when you're flying to somewhere and there's, say, 6 waypoints between you and your destination, is there a way to find out your total ETA instead of the ETs? Yeah, it should. I think it works. Press flight plan, and there's your arrival time, 1734. Now that's because I've got the timing set. I rewound the time to get daylight for our departure here.
Squawk 2355, climb.
Dougie is watching with interest in Newcastle. Excellent. Look forward to it.
Easy 957, you identified.
What's the longest flight you've done as a passenger? Rasmus says. I've done 11 or 12 hour flights as a passenger. Yeah. Only once or twice though. Only once or twice. You don't need to buy VATSIM Jetpack away. VATSIM is free. It's amazing. Don't start at Gatwick. Yeah, good point. Don't start at Gatwick. Ah, Jetpack bought Navigraph. Yeah, there you go. Yep, charts video tomorrow. Yep. I don't talk too much specifically about Navigraph, but I just talk about charts and so on.
Easy 90, switch to Unicom 122.8, goodbye. 122.8, easy 90. Colonia 19 Hotel, direct to Masur, expect Masur, flight level 170. Direct Masur, expect level 170 at Masur, Colonia 19 Hotel.
Macau Star.
Manta 179, climb level 340. Climb level 340, Manta 179. Alpine 67 Kilo Alpha, north further ATC at the moment available, monitor Unicom 128.
And out cruise, so there we go. I'll show you that step climb in a second actually. We have done a few longer flights in the ToLiss. But anyway, time for a systems check. Engine, I'm just going to press all to cycle through. It all just works. I really miss the Airbus. You know, it's funny. When I was streaming last year, I was flying, you know, on and off. Actually, no, when I first started making videos, I wasn't flying at all because it was big lockdown. And then, you know, things changed a lot throughout the year, and I was flying for the second half of the year, and I was still streaming in between that, which is great. So now is the first time where, well, now is a bit strange because we're flying. I'm not flying at all, and it's been a while since we've been in the ToLiss. It's really nice to be back in it. It reminds me of all the good fun streams we had last summer, but also it's just nice to be back in the Airbus. But I've had a great time not learning in detail, but trying out other airplanes. That's the magic of Flight Simulator after all. So yeah, if I want to do a step climb, as we said, it's almost saying 3.8's the optimum.
Manta 265, no further ATC, we monitor Unicom 128, please.
1228, thank you, Manta 265, bye.
Bye.
128. Yeah, so what I could do now is flight level, let's go up at Dennett. So step out, 380, Dennett, and all it does is it will give us a little warning as we get closer. There we go, 1636, it will do that, in 288 miles. We're already 2,000 above our colleague in front, which is always good. Hopefully we'll overtake them a little bit. Rusty Dog says, thanks. Should have specified the GA aircraft with the Garmin 1000s. Oh, I've totally forgotten the question. Sorry, Rusty Dog. Brianni says, don't remind me, I have 10-hour flight coming up and sleep because this guy doesn't sleep on planes. No, I don't sleep on planes very well. Simon Forrester says, finally managed to get hold of some rudder pedals, but my brain tells me to push left pedal if the plane is veering to the left and send it right, whereas it's the opposite, left to go left. I need practice. You know, Simon, you're not the first person to do that. That is, if someone learns about aviation by reading or so on, that is quite a common thing to think. Yeah, you'd think maybe you'd steer like that. I don't know why it's so intuitive. I don't know if it comes from the way cars steer or something, because if you want to turn right in a car, you'd put and you had your hands on the wheel, you put your left hand forward. I'm not making much sense, but anyway, I can see why you think that, but yeah, not how it works. Yeah, and I read a book How to Fly a Plane. Is it called How to Fly a Plane or How to Fly? It's an old manual. I think it's from before World War II, actually, to give the basics. And it talks about the author says exactly the same thing. They had misinterpreted the way the rudder axes worked. Piano Learner says, is there a military aircraft you would have loved to have flown? Mine was always the C-130 Hercules and, of course, the F-14 for obvious reasons. Yeah, F-14. F-14, Piano Learner, F-14. That's why my DCS career is F-14 based, although F-16 has made a few outings, but and I actually like the F-16 a lot, but the F-14, no doubt. Big fan of the Typhoon as well. I think that looks really cool. Harrier. Tornado. I could list a lot of things. But F-14, oh my goodness, yeah, just glorious. Microsoft Flight Simulator will deliver its own charts later on, says Rakon. There we go. Yeah, lots of chart progress to be made, so hopefully the tutorial helps. The air traffic controllers are real people. Vanrao, it's good to see you. Vanrao says, Gatwick during midweek madness is best for beginner environment. There you go. Evening, Russell Gaisley. Russell says, evening, Skipper. With ATC on arrivals, who do you advise aircraft type and expected star to? The regional controller, e.g. London, or airport director? Great question. The expected star goes to the regional controller, so that would be London. They'd expect you to tell them, London specifically expect you to tell them the star you're planning to arrive with. The aircraft type and so on will go to approach, the first contact you have with that airport, approach or tower if there's no approach, but yeah. They will want your aircraft type and the information you have. Alan Story, thank you very much for your £10 donation, Alan. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along into the stream, and great to see you here. Thank you so much, Alan. You've been supporting us far too much, but thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Very kind of you. And thanks for coming along today. I hope you're doing very well at home, and thank you again. Yeah, really kind. Really, really kind. Dr. Nari Naho says, do you like to fly inverted? Exactly. Pilayam says, have you seen the new Spitfire for FS 2020? We have, and we have a video on it. Timothy Harris, hello to you. Thanks for coming along. Lauren V, controversial. F-111 is my favourite military aircraft. That is an unusual choice. Russell says, no, the rudder movement is a throwback to bicycle steering from the Wright bros. Oh, there you go. There we go. See? Kev says, I think the book is Stick and Rudder by a German chap. Very old book. No, it's not. It's I think it's an English author. F-18 Interceptor is Robert's favourite. There you go. Chick Points. Old airport was an F-16 airbase. Fantastic. Call sign in the overlay is messed up. Oh, yes it is. Good spot. Thank you. Should have spotted that one. Thanks, guys. Thanks again, Alan, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Toga says, I have students try and turn while taxiing and they try and use the yoke. Totally normal in the beginning. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. 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 Why wouldn't you? Dana J, good to see you. We're stuck in a meter. A meeting, I assume that was. Thanks for coming, Dana J. Hope you're doing well. Warren Smith says, I live in Newcastle and the wind is picking up a bit here. Enjoy. Oh dear, we shall see what goes on up there then. Rakon says, long haul in the shared cockpit with other YouTube pilots so you can take a nap. Yeah, that would be a good way of doing it. Yeah. Didn't think of that. John says there's an Avro Vulcan for X-Plane that's supposed to be good. Yeah, the Avro Vulcan for X-Plane, I think Andy has that. But is it Andy? Andy, do you have the Vulcan? Someone on our Discord does have the Vulcan and they've been trying to learn it. Birdman likes the F-14A Tomcat. I think I like the F-14B a bit better, seeing as both are now included in the heat blur. Domingo Da Vinci, good to see you. I've been very well. I hope you're well as well. Thanks for coming along. Piano Learner says, when I spoke to RAF recruitment, they told me to tell them I wanted Fastjet, even though I preferred to fly the Herc. Interesting. Yeah. I think the way the military that I've heard of works, and this is not from any experience, this is just from chatting, it sounds like it's pretty much you apply, and then at every level the sort of the top marks go onto the fast jet, and then lower levels go to other airplanes. It sounds harsh, but they have their choice in the military. Everyone wants to fly a fighter jet, I suppose. Thank you very much for the donation, Ryan. Here's 94. Thanks, Ryan. I hope you're doing well flying along, and thank you so much for your £10 donation. Very kind of you. Really, really appreciate it, and I hope you're doing well. Ryan says, just want to say how much I love your videos and what a great person you are to learn from. You bring me so much passion for aviation. I enjoy every moment of flying with you on vaccine. Thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate it. Very kind. Thank you for your £10 donation, and thanks so much for saying so. Really nice to hear it. You know, it's great, and you guys it's such a good community. I always enjoy streaming because it's just such a joy to sit and chat with you guys about this stuff. So thank you so much for your donation, Ryan. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. And it's great to have you flying along with us again today. Andy says, I have the Vulcan. It's hard. Yeah, I thought it would be. That's designed for a crew of what, 4, 5? Russell says, taxiing a Grumman Cheetah with differential braking on grass with no nose wheel steering was an adventure. Yep. Taxiing some of these military planes is quite tricky. Checkpoint likes the KDC-10. Interesting choice as well. Brandon M says, is there a link for those engines by Carter? Yes. Yep. Exclamation mark LEAP or exclamation mark PW1100G. Now this is the ToLiss add-on I'm using here, not Carter's engine. But yeah, both of those are available. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh dear, you guys are far too generous. Thank you so much. Noah, thank you for your $10 donation. Noah says, why do SIDS in the UK seem to drag on in terms of altitude? Seems like according to the chart should be at 6,000 feet for many track miles. Does it have to do with airspace? So, great question, Noah. Thank you. And thank you to Predrag for your donation as well. I'll do Noah first. So, Noah, I actually talk about this a bit in my charts video. But we've already got talking about it today. So, as long as you'll promise to go and watch the charts video anyway, let's do a Heathrow departure. So, I know what you're talking about. This one, take off and look, 6,000 feet, 6,000 feet, 6,000 feet, 6,000 feet. Now, the reason is it's busy airspace, London in particular. Not all UK charts will be like this. The reality of you staying at 6,000 feet all the way to the VOR here, slim. Air traffic control can probably clear you higher. Let's look at Gatwick. Departure. Dagger, why not? Is this the same? 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Yeah, 5,000, 5,000, all the way up to Clacton. So this is just because that's all they can clear you to. Remember, you're cleared up to 5,000 feet as part of this departure. So they won't put higher step climbs on it. I suppose what's unusual is these are really long departures. It takes you all the way out to Clacton. It's a massive, great departure. So it looks like you'd be stuck down. The reality is, once you get away from Gatwick and away from the Heathrow arrivals and departures and away from Southend and everything and Beacon Hill, then you'll be able to climb and air traffic will clear you as soon as they can. But I can see what you mean, yeah. But that's just a busy airspace sort of thing. That's why they come across like that. Predrag, thank you for your RSD 1000. Predrag says, sorry for the RSD caps. I have no other option there. Convertible, I promise. To the smallest 2-digit USD amount or high 1-digit GBPs. No problem at all. Thank you so much for the 1000 RSD. I did figure out what they were last time, and I've totally forgotten, which is terrible. Terrible. Yeah, so thank you so much. Really appreciate the donation. Very kind of you, Predrag. And Predrag says, that was a great departure. Ryan Videos 94 above said it all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Noah, for your donation. Thank you, Ryan Videos. Thank you, Predrag. You're all very, very kind and really appreciate it. And I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along. Brianna says, since you're finally in cruise and probably sipping your tea, time to start a war again. What's for dinner? I'm not falling for it today. I've had some biscuits, so I'm not hungry enough to start talking about dinner. That's it. Apparently there's a hidden GPS mode in the Vulcan, says John. There could be. Just Flight have added some nice sort of, I call them quality of life features to their aircraft. So there's some nice ones in the Arrow to help out. So it wouldn't surprise me. Simpilot says no. Ryan Videos says no problem, and I'm doing great. Thanks. Hope you're keeping well. I am keeping well. Thank you. Ethan says, wow, people say X-Plane doesn't look beautiful. Yeah, X-Plane is like I say, when I got this spring last year and started making videos with it, I was blown away. I was like, oh, this is just great. The contrails, the heat exhaust out the engines, the lighting. I always say it, the night lighting I think is remarkably good. The scenery was fine outside. I mean, it looked good, to be honest with you, but the problem is Microsoft really came and stepped up the game for scenery. Kev says, I had a friend who landed at Pembroke after overnight flight was after an overnight flight was so tired when driving home that he ran into the car in front at traffic lights because he pulled back on the steering wheel. Oh, that's a great point, Kev. In aviation, it's very important that you manage your rest, and that includes after you finish work. You've got to be so careful going home, especially after long haul flights, because exactly that is a concern. Yeah. That's terrible, yeah. But it's happened before. Dr. Darren Nahu says, do you have to give up your tea privileges when you become a pilot coffee drinker? Yeah, coffee. You have to live off coffee as a pilot. Brandon doesn't like the clouds, and explain. I think some of these clouds, like this stuff here, looks spot on. That's great. No problem there. These look a bit strange. Agreed. What it does do really nicely though is the clouds as you are, if you're below the layer and you're coming in or overcast cloud that you're going in and out of, it does that really well. But Microsoft Flight Simulator, when you climb out the top of a level of stratus cloud, is perfect. I've never seen anything as realistic. I don't think I could film a video that looked as good. Serbian Dinar, thank you, Brianni. Serbian Dinar, thank you. Yeah, there we go. Dave N says, at Norwich Airport Museum, there's a Vulcan you can sit in. Wow, I didn't know that. Tiny cockpit, the Vulcan. Because I believe the Vulcan was originally designed for one pilot, and then they had to make it for two. So the cockpit is incredibly cramped because they basically just put another seat in. That's my understanding of it. Mark says, how long till we get there? Time to go and make spag bol? Let's see. Possibly. 1938. Yeah, just over an hour. So don't rush, but landing in just over an hour seems about right. I mean, let's face it, we're already over Germany. Soon Brussels, Belgium, and then we'll be just cruising up over the UK. We'll go right over London. Yeah, some strange shadows. Yeah, some shadows. That's true. That is true. Again, though, I came from FSX where shadows in the cockpit weren't a thing. So I was very happy with this. I thought amazing. John says you can eject the whole cockpit on the Vulcan, I think. Yeah, the pilots could eject, but the other crew had to go out the bottom with parachutes, I think. I remember that. Weather radar is limited operation, Timothy. Yeah, this is a thing that I've wanted to show for a while. But so in the Airbus, turn off that, and you should be seeing the weather radar. I haven't actually turned it on because the weather's so nice, but we'll put that there. Weather and turbulence, tilt it down, and it should show you that. I mean, at 5 degrees down on the cruise, you should see ground returns, but I don't think it's going to show us anything. I think it only works at certain ranges and so on. Mr. Espresso, thank you very much for your €10.99 donation. Really kind, Mr. Espresso, another person supporting the channel far more than you need to. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Mr. Espresso says, hello Captain, I'm following somewhere back behind, hopefully honouring the Manta call sign. Your tips for the speed restrictions at Lower departure worked out perfectly. Thanks for the great videos. You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Espresso. And thanks for flying along, and thank you for supporting the channel yet again. Really appreciate it. Mr. Espresso has been here for so many streams. It's been fantastic. Thank you. I hope you're doing very well. Dr. Darren Naho says, slightly technical question, but what are the procedures for having a reverser hydraulically powered or even deploy? What are the procedures? Oh, I don't know what you mean by that. The reversers on the Airbus are, again, like everything, it's all electronically controlled. The thrust levers don't have a cable. They're just electronic. So when you put them here, you're commanding the reverser, and the airplane decides whether it's going to give it to you or not. You will get a caution. If you try to deploy it in flight, it just gives you a caution and says no. It's too smart for that. But otherwise, again, window seat will be the answer for that one. But thank you very much again, Mr. Espresso, for your donation. Really, really appreciate it. Dave says, tiny cockpit. I assume this is the Vulcan with a fighter joystick. Yeah, there you go. Pretty cool. Rear crew has parachute. Yeah, thought so. Ethan's Aviation says, the Vulcan engine sounds, the A320 and the E2 make a similar sound for a short time. Do they really? So the Vulcan is famous for having a really impressive sort of, what was it called? Like a howl, Vulcan howl that it did. If they spooled up the engines, they used to do it. They used to know how to do it at air shows when Vulcans were doing air shows in the UK. It was fantastic. It set off car alarms, and it was just this sort of groaning howl that it made as it spooled up. It was fantastic, yeah. Yeah, no simulators seem good at weather radars, I agree. The actual flight simulator one does, although it's very sensitive. Four Rolls-Royce Olympus, exactly, yeah, that's what they had there. Dave has the Haynes manual for the Vulcan, fantastic. I wonder, do people outside the UK know much about the Vulcan? The Vulcan is a big piece of history in the UK. It's you know, it's talked about a lot. There's obviously lots of books and so on about it. So I wonder if it's as famous worldwide. Because sometimes I hear things and it, you know, the Spitfire to me is sort of, it's just such a big part of aviation culture in the UK. But I once heard on an American, I think it was a YouTube channel, and they described the Spitfire. They said for those of you who don't know, the Spitfire was sort of like the Great British P-51. And I never thought of it like that, because in my mind the Spitfire, you know, goes to the top of the rankings of World War II aircraft. So it's I wonder if it's the same for things like the Vulcan, where other people don't really talk or think about it much. I never know. Brianni's trying to pack 75 kilograms of scuba and clothing to Caracas, like how to pack as tight as possible. Yeah, that's going to be one mission and a half. I mean, scuba gear to take on holiday is a nightmare as it is. I can't imagine. Good luck. I've got no tips. Have a credit card ready to pay them, because they're going to charge you for all that extra weight, I'm sure. Brandon M says, can you explain multi-scan and GCS? Yeah, limited, but I can indeed. You don't see it on Airbuses very much these days. Multi-scan is actually a way for the airplane to sweep the radar up and down on its own, so that's what that does. GCS is ground clutter suppression, so actually let's turn it off, and that should stop what I was talking about, where you'd get those returns of radar when it hits the ground. It's quite useful seeing the ground clutter, because it gives you an idea of that your radar's working, and you can see, you know, the range that it's pointing at. That's the advantage of it. But yeah, here we go. Brussels are online, 1311. But a Neo would never have this radar. The Neo has a really fancy radar that does lots of really good things. Sadly, we just don't have it modelled. They don't have it modelled in the Microsoft Flight Simulator one either. Brussels, good evening. Manta 265, flight level 360 ToLiss.
Manta 265, radar contact, hello.
Hello. Oh, that's great. The Manta call sign is working for us today. Sometimes it doesn't. Noah, thank you very much for your $10 donation again. Thank you, Noah. I really appreciate it. Noah says, one last thing. Does the cost index logic work the same every time? E.g., if you put 30 cost index at the same altitude on one flight, would it give you the same performance roughly on another? No, the cost indexes don't give you exact speeds. They're not related to speeds. They're cleverer than that. The cost index will take into account the wind, the weight, the temperature, everything. Really clever. They also, if you change the Costanex, your optimum will change, your recommended maximum will change. It's clever stuff. If you have a strong headwind, the Costanex would be higher to give you a higher managed speed. So if you had a really strong tailwind, so what Costanex are we at now? 11. And you can see that's quite fast for a Costanex of 11. I'm a little surprised actually. But if we had a strong tailwind, this Costanex of 11 would probably be a lower. It would be a lower speed. All things like that. But good question, yeah. Thank you again, Noah, for your donation. Really kind of you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Eric Scanavold, thank you so much, Eric, for your 200 knock donation. Really appreciate it again, Eric, for looking after us so much. Thank you, really appreciate it. Eric says, congrats on almost 40k subs. A bit technical, but I read somewhere that the Airbus has 2 alternate laws. True or not? Ah, it does. Yeah. If you go to my What is the Airbus video series I did in Explain, because the ToLiss has it all modelled, I show you alternate law. There are 2 versions, but it's not that exciting, the difference. The Airbus has protections. Thank you again for your 200 knock donation, Eric, by the way. Really appreciate it. And Noah for your $10. Thank you so much. You guys really, really kind, and as ever, being far too generous today. Dr. Darinaho says, yes, even famous in Iraq. There you go. Excellent.
Brussels Control, good evening. Scandinavian 325, flight level 180 to 4250.
Pavel says, the Vulcan is known outside the UK, at least in the Czech Republic. I went to Riot last year, and XH558 was flying mostly because of... There you go. Right, so Eric, for your question, we're in normal law. Those of you who've seen those videos will know, because of the green equal signs. Very important. So, there is an... Oh, that's me leaning on my rudder pedals when I shouldn't. Alternate law has 2 versions. They're very similar. They behave in the same way. The airplane will respond in the same way. So your roll will be direct, just using the ailerons. You'll know because you'll have amber crosses. And your pitch will be G-force still. It's still G-force. You still have the G-low limitation. In one form of alternate law, if you put the nose down and the airplane starts to overspeed, it will gently pitch up and work its way out of the overspeed. Likewise, if you get slow in that same version of alternate law, your speed's coming back, it will gently lower the nose. However, it's not a protection. In normal law, I can't overspeed much. I can overspeed a bit, but I can't overspeed much. And likewise, I can't stall, because if I pull back, the airplane won't allow it and it will lower the nose and so on. But in alternate law, even when I have that sort of help, I could still pull through it and overspeed or stall. However, there is another form of alternate law that's even worse. In that form, you lose even that sort of that help. So if you were to go towards your overspeed, the airplane will just overspeed. It won't even pitch up to help you. Likewise, if you go to your low speed, it will stall. It won't even help you there. Now, I haven't seen that one very much, that second one, even in the simulators, but it is out there. There's no real way to know that I can find. If anyone more technical than me does know, I'll be impressed, because I'd love to know. The status page will always say alternate law, protections lost. It doesn't mean that you've lost that sort of extra help that I was just describing. It just means the protections are lost, because it won't stop you from over-rolling, over-banking, stalling, and so on. You can stall in alternate law in both versions. I hope that makes sense. Van Rout says, I don't know what the Vulcan is, to be honest. There you go. It was a nuclear bomber in the UK. I think it was made in the UK as well, and it's a big delta wing design, and it famously uses the Olympus engines that then went into Concorde. Yeah, very noisy, very loud, very fast. Quite a beautiful aeroplane. Paddy, good to see you. Paddy, thanks for coming along, who's done many of our liveries. Paddy says the 3 V bombers were absolute works of art. Nothing else really feels like them at all. So, I'm hoping I'm getting this right. The 3 V bombers, we had the Vulcan, the Handy Page Victor, and there was another one. And I think, I'm going to have to Google it. Right, the Handy Page Victor is one of the strangest looking airplane, and I think it has the best looking tail feathers. So by that I mean it's vertical stabilizer and fins. It's got a T-tail design, and it is incredible. It is the prettiest piece of aerodynamic engineering I've seen. It's such an amazing looking tail fin. So if you guys are there, Google the Handley Page Victor, Victor. It is stunning tail design. Now the whole plane as itself is a bit of an interesting one. It's a really strange design, but that tail is just remarkable. I think it's really pretty. There you go. A little bit of one of the things I like. The reason I like it so much actually is I used to have it for Flight Simulator 98.
So it looks like 609. I seem to have messed something up in my flight plan. Can I get vector directions for Rapper?
Looks at 609, you're leaving my airspace now, sir. Unicorn 1228.
Nikon 1228. Looks at 609.
The Valiant, that's the other one, the Valiant.
Ryanair 1771, descend 3,000 feet.
Yeah, Valiant, not so elegant, I don't think. It looks nice enough, pretty cool, but the Victor, that really sticks out in my mind.
Munich Air for Romeo Alpha, direct to Denov.
Direct enough for Romeo.
Astronaut 007 says, I'm a long-time simmer since FS2 on the Commodore 64. Came back now after a 12-year break, flying the ToLiss mainly thanks to your streams, even on long haul like JFK to Munich. Thanks for all your great infos. That's great to hear. That's really great to hear that you've made it back into X-Plane as well. Thanks, Astronaut, for coming along. Glad to hear it.
Easy 15 kilo, cross runway 01.
Yeah, you guys got the Valiant.
Operator cross 01, easy 15 kilo.
Thanks, Eric. Glad that worked for you. SR-71 Blackbird, yeah, I love that. I don't know how fun that would be to fly. I think it's incredibly tricky to fly. Landing Gear 001, good to see you again. Landing Gear says, just behind the tablet in the cockpit, what is the purpose of that black cylinder? This is used to open the window. Yeah, slides back there, that pulls the window open. It's not modelled here. That's what it does. Someone's getting in trouble with their route. It's usually me. Right, let's check our fuel out to make sure nothing silly is going on there. So 2.7 tons of used, 2.8, 6.8, so that would be 8.8, 9.6, that's what we started with. That's all worked out perfectly. Paddy says the lowly forgotten Valiant. There you go, yeah.
Lufthansa 3 Romeo Kilo, leaving controlled airspace, frequency change approved.
Dr. No who says alternate law 2 loses normal law lateral mode replaced by roll direct mode and your alternate mode, along with pitch, attitude protection, bank angle protection, and low energy. Yeah, but so both alternate laws lose the lateral mode and it becomes roll direct. But yeah, but I again, we just keep it simple when you're flying the airplane. Alternate law, you can stall. Think of it like that. Ethan says, wow, that turret is beautiful, just like you said. Yeah, I'm glad you guys like it. Agree. Valiants were out early due to the stress of cracking in the spars. There you go, these things happen. Astronaut 007, thank you very much for your €5.49 donation. Really appreciate it, Astronaut. Very kind. Astronaut says, thank you for your streams. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for your donation. Really kind of you, and really appreciate it. Thanks for contributing towards the channel. Very kind. Thank you. I hope you're doing very well today, Astronaut, and thank you for coming along. And Brandon M as well. Thank you for your $5 donation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Brandon says, thanks so much for being such a great resource. Just started with Microsoft Flight Simulator /X-Plane this year and have learned so much about the Airbus thanks to you. It's great to hear. Thanks so much, Brandon. I'm really glad it's helped. It's just always great to hear. Oh, there's some proper weather over here. Now, this would be worth staying clear of. We're slightly downwind of it, but not too much, so it looks like we'll pass clear. Yeah, thank you very much, Brandon. Really, really kind of you for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. And it's always great to hear the videos will help people. It means so much. Thank you. Dave says, Lightning's for me too. Used to watch them over North Lincolnshire. Yeah, Lightning's, gosh, I've never seen a Lightning fly. I'd love to. Eric says, is it possible to open the windows in flight? No, pressurized. No chance. There is one occasion where you might want to, a smoke occasion, but again, it's not going to happen while it's pressurized. Yeah, I like animated things like opening windows. Yeah, but I can see why it's not included, to be fair. TSR2, yeah, that's a very interesting airplane. Wow, we're really going back into the history here. Baxter says, how do you change between these laws? we don't want to. We want to stay in normal law. It's a failure that causes us to go into alternate law. I could do it now, and ToLiss does simulate it, but I don't want to mess up everything on the stream. But go to my video, normal direct law, what is the Airbus? If you Google that, you'll find my channel has the video on it. There is an Avro aeroplane before the Vulcan I liked. Is it the Arrow? Have you guys seen that? I think it had one of the first ever fly-by-wire systems, so it's quite relevant. Avro Canada, Arrow. Yeah. Delta Wing Interceptor. It didn't do very well. I'm pretty sure it had a form of fly-by-wire on it.
130, had the air brake up, sorry.
We've all done it in Flight Simulator, let's face it. Dr. Darren Nahu says, on the flight laws, there's also mechanical backup. How does that work? So that is if we lose all the computers. It's not a way to fly the airplane, really. You can, and we practice it, but it's designed just to keep the airplane upright and safe until we can turn on some computers. Remember, you've got 7 computers, and you only really need one, well, 2, maybe 1 if you're lucky, to keep the airplane back into alternate law. The mechanical backup is your rudder pedals. They're mechanical, so they're linked to the rudder directly, and engine thrust and trimmer. So you can trim for pitch, you can adjust the power, and you can steer with the rudder pedals. But it's very challenging. You have to be very gentle with it. You can see our little step climb, that little arrow up showing up down there. So it's reminding us we're getting closer. Steve says, being older, I saw the Lightning many times at the Farnborough air shows, always the star of the show. Yeah, I wish I could have seen that. Amar says, hi Captain, the ToLiss CDU on approach phase we have trans level, and in the fly-by-wire Airbus the same page we have trans out. Who have true? Amar, it is the ToLiss is correct. In the approach page, it is a transition level. It's probably 7-0, something like that, into Newcastle.
Ryanair 1771, the airport is your 10 o'clock, 6 miles, reporting runway 25 left inside. 25 left inside, Ryanair 1771.
Ethan says, what do you think of the Harrier? I had it in DCS in its free trial. I loved it, but it's so difficult. But yeah, absolutely loved it.
Clear to land. Make sure you take the left, sir.
It's a blonde, runway 25 left, Ryanair 173.
Manta 14 Mike Juliet, leaving controlled airspace, frequency change.
Earbound says, are you going to participate in the VATSIM Cross the Pond? I totally forgot to apply for that, so I haven't applied for a slot. I don't fully understand how you apply for a slot either. Mateo says, one of the coolest things I've seen at an air show was the Apache heli. Yeah, that must be good. I've never seen one at an air show. One of the coolest things I've seen, the A400 does a great display. The A340-600 did a display at Farnborough many years ago that was fantastic. When they're empty, they can do these amazing things. The A400 was really incredible, though. Also, F-35, ridiculous, amazing. Harrier jump jets make amazing displays as well. The problem is, this is what always happens. Everyone asks me things like favourite airplanes and so on, and I end up listing all of them. The Flying Emu, thank you very much for your 23 Australian dollars. Very kind of you, the Flying Emu. The Flying Emu says, you have taught us so much. Absolute legend. Here's a couple of coffees. Thank you. Really appreciate it, Flying Emu. Really appreciate it. Very kind. Glad you've been enjoying the videos. I hope you're doing well down in Australia. Yeah, I hope we can get ourselves into a position that Australia's in soon. Thanks so much. Really appreciate the donation, and I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along today, and just, yeah, always great to hear people are enjoying it. Ethan's Aviation says, I love the Nimrod because its base is the Comet. Yep, very cool. Very cool plane. Simon Forrester says, sorry, got to leave. Meeting at 7. We'll catch up afterwards. Happy landings. Thanks, Simon. See you next time. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoy your meeting.
Control, good evening again. LR 1131 at 175
5 with information X-ray, request FR clearance to Bangor as well.
LL 1131, clear destination, Sopok 9er Charlie departure, initial climb flight level 60, squawk 7153.
Can you say again for level 131?
Clear destination, Sopok 9er Charlie departure.
So hey guys, just sorting something out. But yeah, thank you again to the Flying Emu. Great name as well. Dave says, I once saw an amazing display by DHL 757 at Duxford. Totally took me by surprise. Yeah, airliners can do incredible displays because they come along with no weight, especially 757, 747s, things like that. And they can rock it around. It's amazing. And Airbus is very good as well. The 380 did an incredible display when it first flew. Coolest thing I ever saw was a B1 on full afterburner, says Buck. So yeah, that sounds pretty good. I like F-18 displays. They're very good. We don't get to see like things like F-22s in the UK really. Matthew says, good to see you again, Matthew Presley, our CRJ pilot. Matthew says, the L1011 is my favourite weird airplane. Who would have thought that flying an approach with the spoilers half out would probably burn a bit too much fuel? Yeah, the L1011 is a remarkable machine. So different. Everything about that airplane is different. Every system is manufactured in a slightly different way to what you'd expect. So, yeah, I'll be really interested to see that. And the VC-10. Dave Geimer says, Nimrod, and how quickly I forget. Still love the VC-10. VC-10, incredibly noisy, incredibly fast. I mean, we don't fly as high or fast as those things did. VC-10, very cool, very good looking airplane. And I believe there is one in development for X-Plane coming from Just Flight. Dr. Darinaho says, also, congrats on 3 million views. Thank you very much. 3 million views, goodness me, that's ridiculous, isn't it? That is incredible. How are we doing for subscribers? Yeah, well, we're not doing bad, guys. If you're watching and you subscribed today, thank you so much. We're trying to get to 40,000. And we're at 39,937, I can reveal. So we are getting very close. Very close. So thank you all who subscribed. Paddy says, very lucky that my hometown has a yearly air show. This year they had a Draken and a Biggin. It was a massive highlight. That's amazing, yeah. Lucky to see an air show this year. I haven't seen any. Yeah, very good. Or last year. Breaks 27, good to see you. Thanks for coming along.
86 November Alpha, descent flight level 220, level by DNAT.
Descent flight level 220, leveled up by DNAT.
Brandon says, can you please also explain what an ADF is? If you go to my VOR tracking tutorial, I do a little bit about ADF. ADF is to tune NDBs. So it's called ADF, but it's a bit silly because it could just be called NDB. So if you see ADF, it's used to look at NDBs. In fact, we should have done this earlier. There's the step now message. I'm not going to bother with it. It's not worth it for us today, just to show you the thing. Yeah, we can get rid of that. So, secondary copy. Yeah, so RadNav ADF is now it's tuning the RUM NDB, which is the last NDB it could see, I suppose. But yeah, that's all it's doing. There is a November Tango NDB. There you go. So that's now tuned in. And then it points the arrow at it, just like a VOR. You don't get a DME off an NDB. They're very basic. They're not as reliable, and they can't give you a course bar. You don't get this fantastic course bar that we get in VORs, wirelesses, because it's a non-directional beacon. They're not very good for navigating, really. Thanks, Shitpoint. Yeah, if you do subscribe, it won't come up with a notification because the bot is still struggling. Rakon says, will you try the Airbus H135 for some sightseeing? Yes, Rakon. I think it was Rakon who contacted me about it with the email. But yeah, it is on my to-do list. Yeah, to-do list has grown a lot, really. But yeah, I'm definitely looking to try that. Just need to learn how to set it up as well. Breaks27 says, new sub. Excellent, thank you. 320 is my favourite plane. It reminds me of the 90% of the time I flew planes before 2020. Excellent. Yeah, 320 is fantastic. Long haul route is not decided, Brandon M, for the 40k. We're not going to count the chickens too early. Deshan says, I've got to go. I subscribed this morning. See you soon. Thanks for subscribing, Deshan. Thanks for coming along and enjoy your evening. Thank you. Russell says, L1011, first aircraft to have 3 independent INS systems accurate to within 2 inches of any point on the air surface. Yeah, the INS system is incredible.
Also ready for pushback.
Behind 180 Victor, pushback is approved facing east, squawk no Charlie.
Ethan says, I have the L1011's lower deck galley, very unique. Yeah, I've not seen that. Loads of unique features of the L1011 though. I've got a model of one on my desk actually at the moment. Nice West, good to see you. Thanks for coming along, hope you're doing well. Lauren V says, what if the Beluga in a super guppy style bare metal pink teal Manta colour scheme? Yeah, that's an interesting one. Now, I made, well, actually, I say me and my very helpful graphic designer, who does the thumbnails as well, did this livery. So, yeah, we should, I don't know if I need to look at the paint kit for the Beluga and figure out how difficult it would be to make an alternative. But yeah, if we could use the base of the super guppy with that metal and then work it out, that could be very good. Paddy's the real artist when it comes to designing the liveries though, I must admit. Although, no, I say that, we've had a few others designed that have come out, so they're growing. 8455 has done a fantastic regional jet livery, which is going to be shown soon. Shamrock, yep, A320 pilots can fly the 321, 319 and 320. Flying with the Oswald says, why overspeed of 280? When I fly, I get like 340 top speed. Because we're high, it's because we're actually at Mach decimal 78. Our true airspeed is 448 knots. So as you go higher, that red bar will come down because it's not showing you the real speed anymore. Noah says some NDBs in the US have DME. Oh, there you go. But I believe if they have a DME, it's been added separately, so you'd have to tune it separately. It can't be on the same thing, whereas VORs can do it at the same time. See you, Sean. Vision.
Easy 6 November Alpha, contact Amsterdam on 125.750. Good day.
Ladbound says, if you have a lot of airplanes in one place, if you love a lot of airplanes in one place, sorry, the Udvar-Hazy Smithsonian Museum is insane. SR-71, Space Shuttle, Concorde, and the Enola Gay, among many others. Now, I have to agree, and I am lucky enough to have been to the Udvar-Hazy Smithsonian and the Smithsonian Museum of Flight. The Udvar-Hazy is incredible. You walk in, I think the two things you see when you walk in front of you, I think it was an SR-71, I think, if I remember right. And behind that is the Space Shuttle Discovery. It's ridiculous. It's incredible. And you can walk around the Space Shuttle Discovery sitting there on its wheels with a rope around it, basically. So I went... I'm very lucky. I've also seen the Atlantis at the Kennedy Center, which is set up in a really fancy exhibit where you can walk around it, but it's mounted at a very cool angle and it looks really fancy. It's got screens behind it, and the experience when you go in, it's like a theme park sort of thing, which is amazing. But it's also equally amazing to see it at Udvar-Hazy when it's just sat there like a museum piece, which it is now, obviously, but it's just there in front of you and you can see the dirt from where the astronauts are going in and out. It is mind-bending to stand next to it. It really hurts my head to think of it up in its orbit. So absolutely brilliant. I can't recommend that enough. Yeah, Udvar-Hazy. If you're in Washington, you must go to the Udvar-Hazy, any of you who like aeroplanes. Where are we on the world map? There you go. Coasting out. Bit of a queue behind us. Oh, busy down in Amsterdam. Not too busy, I suppose, but there we go. Yeah. Looks like an Alpaca. There's some Easy Jets. We're following, or we're with our Easy. Oh, is that the Easy in front of us? Have we overtaken someone?
Manta 265, leading controlled airspace, frequency change is approved.
Thank you, frequency change approved, Manta 265. Thanks. Okay, above us? No, they're below us. Not sure where that person is, where the other Easy colleague is. Oh well, sounds like we're on Unicom now. Anyway, back to terrain. Pretty much we are soon going to head up over. We'll go past Southend, I think. Gatwick and Biggin Hill over there. We'll go via Stansted, indeed. Matthew says, they had me sitting reserve in Dulles for a few weeks a couple of years ago. It was fantastic to go to that museum in my off time. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it is out at the airport, the Udvar-Hazy. So the Smithsonian has the main one in with all the other Smithsonian museums in the middle of town. But it also has the Udvar-Hazy actually out at the airport. You have to get a bus to it, I think. Lauren V says, one of my favourite museums is in Germany. It had a 2144 with a walk through cabin, now Concorde 2, and a Junkers 52 with a slide and parachute door. So another museum for that would be Budapest. If you go to Budapest, there's a museum, there's like an aero park, and there they have the most fantastic collection of Russian aeroplanes, which you can get into if you speak to them nicely. So yeah, Budapest. If you're ever in Budapest, make time to go and see that little museum. Amazing old aeroplane, Russian aeroplanes. Alicia's Maggie, thank you very much for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it. Very kind. Alicia says, working right now, but just wanted to come over and say hi. We'll watch the full flight afterwards. Thanks for content. Can't wait for more CIJ, by the way. Thank you very much, Alicia's Maggie. Thank you for your donation. Thanks for coming along to say hi. Really appreciate it. And I hope you're doing very well. Yeah, more CRJ content to come. I want to keep my hand in. We've got our new livery to use on it. So yeah, exciting times for the CRJ, definitely. But yeah, very kind. Thank you for your donation. Matthew says, way past the proposed step climb. Is it even worth it now? No. I mean, it was hardly worth it as it was. It's not going to make too much difference to the route. Sometimes it saves you a little bit. It like I say, longer flights, it's more applicable. And also if you're dealing with winds, strong winds. But we've only got a 30 knot headwind here. So I'm very excited about the upcoming A380X by Fly-by-Wire. To answer your question, flying with Osbos. Yeah, very excited about it. Matthew says, yeah, bus ride from the terminal. Yep, so that's it then. Yeah, it was a while ago I went, so you've got to get a bus ride from Washington Main Terminal. Okay, getting a lot of questions asking about which sim I'm in, and now I see why. I listed this as category gaming, and then I didn't actually get round to typing in the simulator. I don't always, but apparently it's listing it as Microsoft Flight Simulator for some reason. So I'm going to try and do it properly. This is X-Plane 11 for anyone wondering. Let me see if I can update that now. There we go, X-Plane 11. Yeah, sorry about that. On my screen, it showed us just game title optional, because I don't always put the game title in. But apparently it's showing up as FSX for some of you guys, so there we go. Hopefully that shows up. This is X-Plane 11. And it just says, also here for 40k. Yeah, we're getting there. We are getting there. Dave N says, how accurately modelled is the autopilot in X-Plane? It's very accurate. Very good. Very good. Like we saw even there, when I went to heading, it increased the bank angle. It's little details like that that just really make a massive difference. College Josh has a great question. At what point would you use selected speeds at cruising rather than letting the plane set its own speed? So if it was suddenly really bouncy or really turbulent, I might select the speed. The reason is, you can see in out cruise. In out cruise, the Airbus will go up and down a little bit, about 100 feet. It goes up and down and tries to keep the engine thrust the same, because constantly changing engine thrust, spooling down, spooling up, is not very efficient. So that's fine, but the problem with that is it will try and maintain the speed by gently going up and down. So sometimes the speed will start to wander a little bit too far. So if it's turbulent and it's wandered and the speed's up, it could get up to here. So if it's doing that a lot, then I might pull the speed. And as soon as you pull the speed, it will fly properly, and it will target the speed more aggressively than it would if you do it in managed. But this is what it wants to be. It wants to be managed speed, just at its flight level in out cruise. but if you force it to be selected, it's more accurate. The other time I would do it would be turbulence. So 0.76 turbulence penetration speed. Does depend on the airplane actually a little bit, but yeah. Other than that, leave it as it is. Pam says, I meant which do you prefer, X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator? I like them both. We've got loads of great airliners in X-Plane. Loads of really good ones. And it's still a very powerful simulator. And I don't know what's happening with that. Something big is coming. Do you guys remember that? That was a big deal, and then it's sort of all gone quiet. I don't know if what came of that. But yeah, and there's too many exciting airplanes coming out for this sim. Because there's an A380 on the way by any builds. There's a Beluga's now out, which is fantastic. I absolutely love flying the Beluga. Really like that plane. There's the ToLiss A340-600. Can't wait for that. Really excited to see the 340. So, yeah, very excited. Right, let's start looking at our arrival. Coming in via Rimto today. Newcastle's a bit of a funny one for arrivals. So, Rimto, 1 November to Gokov. Let's have a look at this. Fill the screen. Step deleted because we're not bothering anymore. Let's go to plan, zoom in. Up we go. Bertex, Mammal, Upton, Batley, Rimto, Gokov, Earcore. And let's put constraints up and it should show us. There you go, 16,000, which is what we need to be at. I mean, I think this is a bit fussy. If you think of where, I mean, there's Leeds, Bradford there, I suppose, but there's just not many airports. Tees Valley, maybe. I don't know. 'Cause these restrictions, it's almost more restrictive than flying into London. But there you go. Earcore, Zodru, Etzes, and then we'd enter the hold. If no one with clearance received by Etzes, remain in holding. So there we go. And then we've got to transition to the November Tango, and then there's the full procedure outbounds. Now, we're not going to do that today because with this many airplanes, that would be really, really bad news. But you can see we could do it quite easily because we put in that transition. Go to approach up. We're going to do the RLS DME runway 25, and there it is, November Tango outbound and backgrounded in. When I set this up, I can show you what it showed me. RLS 25, Rimto 1 November, and then it's got November Tango 1 or 2, and I think all the difference there is that's up to 7 miles, 2,000 feet. I think it's the course that would be different. So let's try. The 2 is tighter in, you see, so that would be the Cat A or B airplane one, but we're a Cat C airplane, so we're going to not do that. We're going to leave it as it is. But what I might actually do is just prepare myself for the track miles, because this is, it's not very efficient flying overhead here and out and back in. So I think the chances of me flying that are very slim. So first of all, copy the secondary to be the same as the active. Give yourself the best chance. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just connect it up. Now we don't actually have to connect it. It's sometimes better not to remind yourself. So we don't need that. I don't need that. I'm not flying the procedure. Insert. There we go. Now it goes XS, discontinuity, CF25. And luckily the ToLiss now doesn't, it used to not predict over the gap, but the real airplane can. It just, in its mind, just draws a line between the 2 points. But it won't show you that, but it uses that for fuel planning and so on. So it's still useful data. So there we go. That's a more realistic plan. It's very straightforward. We're going to go 2,000 feet, low platform altitude, airfield elevation 51 feet. So we're 2,000 feet above the ground when we get there, and we intercept the ILS at 5.4 miles out. So at 5.4 miles, I'm going to need to be flap 2, gear down below 160 knots, certainly, as we start down the slope, and then fully configure from there. So at least flap 2 and gear down and below 160 knots, passing 5.4. That's the plan for us today. Yeah, great. So that's the flight plan pretty much checked. I suppose also, I'm used to ignoring it just because it is an in-flight simulator, but there we go. Go around, we'd always check this. If we do go around, we'll just do go around flaps through to Toga, bring those flaps in one stage, positive climb, gear up, make sure we go into nav mode. Automatic in NEOs these days, but not in the ToLiss. And here we go. Climb straight ahead to 2,500 feet. So there it is, 2,500 feet, or 4 miles India November Whiskey Charlie, which is here. You see that Delta ABCD, 4 miles. As long as those are, or whichever one's later, make our right, so both of those need to be met, then make our right turn back to the locator at 25, or as directed. Probably as directed, but there we go. Enter the hold, and then we could go and fly that procedure outbound and inbound if we needed to. Radnav will be tuned, the ILS will tune later, it's still a bit delayed in the ToLiss. November Tango NDB is tuned on my side, that's all we need. That is just a VOR, a DME, the Newcastle DME. We're not going to use that, so I'm not too worried, so we'll let it auto tune. Progress page, nice to have this. Echo November Tango 25. Perf. Time to get some weather in. 22018. It is getting breezy. Not sure we have a controller there either. Temperature of 10. QNH 1013. And minima 439. Straight in LS 550. There we go, all looking good. Visual approach, if we want to do a visual approach, there are some notes about it probably. Let's have a look. Here's the runway, by the way, 2,400 meters. We're in a 321. What weight are we? We've got a strong headwind, 69 tons. I'm just going to go medium, idle reverse. Come off at Bravo, go and park. We've got ORBX scenery, so you see the Emirates control tower. It's very distinctive. Oh, in fact, no, we want that one up, so let's have parking standard coordinates. So off at Bravo, that'll be here. Alternatively, down, well, we won't be there. Bravo, if not Alpha, and then go and park. And last thing I want to show you guys is, this isn't a very good routing, is it? We've got noise abatement. This might tell us what to do. Arrivals. Don't go below 2,500 feet. No, don't go below 1,800 feet before intercepting the glide slope. So basically, there's not much restrictions on flying a visual approach here. 7 miles or less than 2,000 unless instructed by ATC or their propeller-driven aircraft. And they want continuous descent. Continuous descent is very common these days. So if we wanted to do a visual approach, which is actually quite possible today. Well, actually, we'll see what the weather is before I get too trigger happy. Scattered 2.5. That's not great. Not great. We'll see. But basically, we need to intercept within 7 miles. So I'm going to do that by good old fix info. Fix info. Echo. Oh yeah, we can clear all of these out. They would reset after the flight anyway, but there we go. Echo Alpha November Tango. Newcastle 25, 7 mile radius. So there we go. Now we can see that blue ring. So if I wanted to do, oh there you go, the CF is outside that. So 7 miles out, and if I'm 2,000 feet at 7 miles, I need to, well, it's 2,000 is basically 6 miles, isn't it? We can see that on our chart. 5.4 is 2,000, so 6 miles is 2,100, so basically 2,000. And then we could go, so 7 miles would be 2,400 feet. So if I'm 2,400 feet, flap 2, gear down, as I fly around that, and as I intercept on that ring, I'll be fine. So if I flow just outside that ring at 2,500 feet and turn in, descending to 2,400 feet, that would work out nicely as a visual approach. That would keep us safe with noise abatement. And the terrain-wise, the terrain is just not too concerning. Out onto the east of the November Tango. The November Tango is here. So remember, we are actually going to go into the higher MSA area. But anyway, east of the November Tango, 2,600, 2,100. So as long as we're visual, we could do that quite safely. But there we go. That's a plan for that. I think that's pretty much it. So we've done the flight plan, RadNav, progress page, perf page, fuel prediction. We've got loads of fuel to go all the way back to Heathrow for some strange reason. Secondary. I'm just going to copy over the active now. Great stuff. Medium water brake. We'll do a flat full landing. Idle reverse. I think that's it. Goodness me, it's been a little while now. Checkpoint says, just browsing Teespring, can we pretty please get socks for Christmas? Oh, very good. Yeah, I don't know if Teespring do socks. I'll have to have a look. Breaks27 says, I just joined your Discord server. Thanks. Yeah. Fantastic help. The Discord. Ollie Nuts back. Great to see you, Ollie. Richie Ray is good to see you as well. Richie Ray says, I feel for 320 Sim Pilot doing the PF and PM at the moment. Yeah, sometimes it's it can be quite tiring, but you guys do it as well. Toka says, when flying level on average, how many knots does the 320 lose in about 1 nautical mile? Well, it depends on when you're talking. If you're talking about on final approach, you could lose 10 knots a mile quite easily. Depends a bit on the wind as well. Yeah, we can do accurate holds, John Knowles. This can do accurate holds. So we could, let's prepare. We saw on that rim to arrival to hold unless we hear from air traffic. Now, is there air traffic control? I think there could be. No. No, we're going to have to do a bit of self-coordination. Basically, if we want to hold at ETSS, I showed on the ND as well. Go to plan. And I would consider doing this in real life, although it will mess up your track mileage plan. But I can put a hold in the ETSS. It is a left-hand hold. So see it says R. The real airplane often has the database, but there we go. Let me put in the inbound first then. Inbound is 011. You have to search sometimes for the course. There we go. Now we're modifying it left. And you see computed and database. So computed, it's just a standard hold based on your last inbound track. Database, it doesn't have one, but the database would have shown us the correct hold, which is this one, which is a left-hand hold. On the 011 inbound. Anyway, now you can see it there, left turn there, so I can insert that, and that's sitting there, and the airplane will by default go into a hold. So if we forget or we're talking or something, we shouldn't be, but if that happens, now it will go into a hold and we won't end up flying on. Very useful in a place like London where that is much more common. Up here you probably get radar vectors before you get there. Yeah, I agree with Matthew Presley. 2 crew is a must. Yeah, it's a massive difference going from 2 to 1. And yeah, there's so many things that we still need definitely 2 pilots for. Thanks, Cybercannon. Have you enjoyed dinner? I'm probably a bit late for that. Ah, so Laban said something big was a disaster, shouted down by the community, I guess. It was a paid subscription service for stuff that was widely available. Did include some product discounts. Was it? I totally missed it. Oscar Lamprecht, thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you here again. Yeah, listing is FSX. Very strange. Yeah, on my screen it wasn't at all. Yeah, was that what something big was? Was it a subscription? How strange. So that's the hold. I mean, if we need to use the hold, we'll use it. I haven't seen... Where are we now? Oh, we've lost our Easy, or Easy 957's back there. There's the Manta, so they're separating from each other. We won't need it, actually. In fact, we'll be better off not using it. If anything, I'm tempted to try and speed up a little bit just to keep the gap behind us. So I'm going to go to 7.9 for a bit. Yeah, they're behind us. So I'm going to go to 7.9. In fact, let's do 8. It's a nice smooth air. Just build into a gap. Now, something to note. Remember, check your descent speeds. So in the descent phase, it wants me to descend at Mach decimal 74296. Now, the ToLiss does this. It's not what the real airplane does. The real airplane would say something like 78/296 or whatever. But anyway, the point is, see my descent arrow? If I change the speed, it should update that arrow to whatever speed. So if I had a lower speed, it would need to descend me earlier. Let's see if it works actually. So if I did 0.74 and 250 for the descent, see, it moves the arrow closer to me. Because obviously when we're slower, there's less drag. We'll do 78300. Should be sporty enough. Mr. Espresso says, I guess Scottish Control 13552 will be in charge of EGNT. Oh, there we go. I had that tuned up. Thanks, Mr. Espresso. 13552. Okay, stand by, guys. I'll just be back in just 1 second. Sorry about that. I am back. Ladbound says, any builds withdrew from the organisation? Oh, there we go. Oh, see, I can't keep up with all the news. John Knowles, if you go to my channel and go for 320 Sim Pilot, or search on YouTube 320 Sim Pilot holding tutorial, I have one already. One of the first ones I made. It was one of the most requested things when I started the channel. 100 subs to go. Yeah, less than that, Oscar. We are working our way to it. We are down to 52 subs. That's all we need. Thank you to those who subscribed by watching this. Really appreciate it. And I'm sorry. I'm just sorry you're not getting the alerts up properly, but hopefully we'll get sorted soon. But yeah, holding tutorials in there, and I talk about all the different tricks and details of it. Toga says the top of the centric is pretty neat and useful. Yeah, it's really good. Remember as well, we're going to keep it in our head, but on average 120 miles will be fine, or do our 3 times. So we're pretty high at 36, so 3 times that, 90, 108, plus 10, 118. But strong headwind today, 40 knot headwind, so I think about 120, yeah, that'd be fine. Not expecting to have any extra track miles. We're just going to go in and turn left. So we'll do about 120 miles. If we descend from 100 miles with that headwind, we'll be absolutely fine. When would you use MCT? Very rarely. MCT is used when you've had an engine failure, max continuous thrust. Other than that, don't use it. Here, it's not going to make any difference. There's climb thrusts. There's the blue donut. MCT is it's a little bit more, but you'll notice as well, by going to MCT, see auto thrust, we're in the auto thrust range, but by going to MCT, we force it to MCT. That's not an auto thrust section, so we've overridden auto thrust by doing that. But yeah, engine failures is really when you use it. Brianni says, have to run Captain, almost 40k, really happy and proud of your success. Your grounded personality and great character really shows. Now, if you can finish those exams, you'll be my favourite forever. Thanks, Brianni. Good luck with your packing. Good luck with the journey. And yeah, well, we'll see you again on the stream soon, I'm sure. But exciting times for you. And thanks for coming along. And thanks for all your support on the channel. Thanks for your subscription to Duncan Gillum. I really appreciate it. Sorry to those who've subscribed and it hasn't come through on the Streamlabs. John says, I took the plunge and bought the CRJ. John, you're going to enjoy it. Just take time with it. It's different to the Airbus. Yeah. Colin, thanks for your subscription. We may find Streamlabs just gets very excited here, so I might mute it. But read them out. Yeah, John, take your time with the CRJ. It's very different. I'm thinking, you know, there's the great Aerosoft tutorials by the dude who goes through the systems and did fly the CRJ. I'm thinking of doing some videos to just give rough overviews, because I can't talk in detail about what the procedures are for that aeroplane, but just to show some of the key differences that I've learnt or that stood out to me when I was learning it, put it that way. That's something I'm thinking of doing. Break says, can you do a 50,000 sub special when we get there? Well, I will if we get there, no doubt. Yeah, we had a strange time on this channel. We reached 1,000 and we put out, this livery came out for 1,000 subscribers, in fact. And then we went from 1,000, we missed everything up to sort of 24,000, and it was 30,000 where we made our next special. Because with the launch of Microsoft Flight Simulator, things happened quite quickly for a little while there. Ollie says, I like the CRJ, but manipulating the autopilot is hard, especially in the sim. Yeah, the PFD's small and the number isn't as clear. And I personally say that's the design of the CRJ. That's definitely, you know, there's a few things about the CRJ I've complained about on the stream. But it's not helped in the simulator format, certainly. Matthew says, that's something they had us demonstrate in recurrent training in the last few years in the States, just how little thrust is available at different levels. Yeah, so pilots are used to thinking, well, I've got toga thrust available to me. But up here, if you're about to stall and you go to toga thrust, you don't have much. So when you're dealing with winches and so on, you'll see that our engines are running at almost 80%. And if I go to toga now, look at the speed trends. It does move, but slowly. I actually think that's a little bit better than the real. I don't think the real airplane would have quite as much excess thrust. It's almost none if you're high enough. Richard Gardner, thank you very much for your $10 donation, Richard. Very kind of you, Richard. Richard says, thanks as always for the best. For the best, give myself praise there. I definitely shouldn't be. Richard says, thanks as always for the videos. I love the A320 NX, but now that I've used the CRJ and its systems, the Airbus feels a bit basic in comparison. I can't wait for more to be added to it by the fly-by-wire team. Thank you, Richard, for your donation. Really appreciate it. Very kind donation, and I hope you're doing very well in America. So the 320 NX is amazing. And I maintain this. I've said this a lot, and it's amazing entirely because of the fly-by-wire's efforts. They have done an incredible job. It has things like rotate law that we don't even have here in the ToLiss. It's amazing. They've got tail strike prevention. They've got the printer. So they've got the extra bits. The bit I really can't wait to see now, because they've already done the autopilot and custom fly-by-wire. The custom fly-by-wire is incredible. They've done an amazing job on that. It feels great. It starts to really feel like the actual aeroplane. Such a difference to the default. It's the lateral navigation, and the reason the CRJ for me is so pleasant to operate, as well as the CRJ's got it's got all the systems in there. It's a really good add-on as far as I'm concerned from what I've seen so far. I haven't done a review yet because I don't want to rush it out when I haven't really spent enough time with it, and you start to pick up if there are any underlying things. There are a couple of things we've seen, but anyway, my point being the lateral navigation in the A320NX is still the default, and they are working on fixing it, but it's a huge task. But the things like the sound effects and everything are just remarkably good now in the 320NX. It is incredible level of detail. So yeah, but I can't wait for lateral navigation to be sorted so that it's just more reliable, because that's the one thing I find in the 320NX I struggle with at the moment. Oscar Lamprecht, thank you very much for your €5 donation. Really appreciate it, Oscar. Oscar says, good luck hitting 40k today. You clearly deserve it. We learned so much from you. Thanks again for everything so far. You're very welcome, Oscar. Thank you so much for your donation. That's really, really appreciated. Again, I don't think we'll hit 40k today. To be honest with you guys, it would be quite an impressive feat, because that's 50 subscribers from well, actually 48 subscribers now. But we maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, who knows, but maybe never. It's possible. But thank you very much for your donation, Oscar. Really appreciate it, and I hope you're doing very well. Thanks as always for supporting the channel so enthusiastically. Dr. Dari Naho says, what caused your channel to grow the most? It was I don't know if you guys remember, I did a video the morning Microsoft Flight Simulator came out, where I did a little circuit in Edinburgh in the 320 NEO, and that video I think it got over 500,000 views in the end. And shortly after that I did a couple more, and our subscription count started going up quite rapidly. So there was just a sudden surge of subscriptions, and I didn't know where that would go. I didn't know whether people would hang around or not, or whether they'd continue to enjoy the content. What I'm pleased about is getting close to our descent now. In fact, let's start down. Let's not miss it, because I've so many times on the channel missed the top of descent. So I'm going to go manage speed now for the descent. I'm going to go manage descent. It will do 1,000 feet per minute until it intercepts the profile here, and then it will go into an idle descent. There's out magenta 160. Yeah, this is good actually. We can use the manage descent mode to maintain those restrictions. I don't know why it's going back to 156 though. It's activated the approach phase. Did I do that by accident? Ooh, that is very odd. Now, in the real airplane, you can force it out of the approach phase. Let's level off at 350. There's that triple click because it's reverted to vertical speed because I've been fiddling. So we're going to level off. I want to get it back into descent, really. Otherwise, we can just use selected speed, and we'll just select the speeds we said, 7, 8, and 300 knots, no problem. But it's a bit unusual, and it wouldn't normally do this, and I wouldn't normally end up flying around like this. So to force it back, I go, if you put in the current flight level, there you go, we get back into the cruise phase. Top of descent, and then it goes straight to approach. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh well. It's going to really struggle to descend, because if it tries to descend at this speed, it will never get down. What's the flight plan speeds? Yeah, 200 knots the whole way in from Upton. Maybe that was in the coding. Maybe I didn't check it properly. Anyway, I'm going to do up here. We'll still be on 7, 8. Let's do 7, 8. Down we go. Because distance to Newcastle now, 91 miles. So yeah, doing it at 200 knots, not going to end well. We'll be way too high. AC455 says, I'll admit I'm part of the surge in August, but I'm here for all the content. No, it's great. I mean, everyone arriving in August after Flight Simulator, I was impressed that everyone stuck around, and I wasn't sure whether they'd like the continuing content or not, but we've been very lucky, and we continue to grow after that. So I'm very, very privileged that that's happened, and very, very proud of it. Yeah. Speed brakes. Yeah, we may need those speed brakes. You'll see that probably it's okay with that headwind. Gordon says it's kind of a learning curve with the fly-by-wire NX. Over time, you learn to anticipate and manually intervene its flaws. Not ideal, but it's workable. Yeah, it's definitely workable, and it's more than good in lots of situations, definitely. But it's just a few things. Toga says creates 50 new YouTube accounts with 50 new emails and subscribes. Only joking, but if I had 50 accounts, they'd definitely all be subscribed. Thanks, Toga. Yeah. To get the flight computer on the screen in the ToLiss, you can just click on the screen. But as I said, this is an X-plane. We're not using Flight Simulator today. John says, definitely the very best learning channel for the A320. Thanks for all the help and for all of us down in the learning curve. Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate it. Thank you. CJ says, TCAS is also in a sober problem. Oh, there we go. Kyochi says the fly-by-wire group is completely rewriting the FMGS. Yeah, and I've already used their new autopilot, and it's excellent. Their new custom fly-by-wire is excellent. So it's going to be top quality when it's done. It's just getting that lateral nav. Can't wait for that. Matt says, I also can't help but laughing when every time you say the great Aerosoft tutorial is done by the dude. Yeah, the dude does have a good name for that, yeah. Airbus Pro, thank you very much. Thanks for coming along, Airbus Pro. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for coming along to the channel. No, that's okay. There was a bit of confusion because of the way YouTube had it set up. Yeah, you can get the screens to pop up in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but not the whole panel at the moment anyway. Well, maybe you can. I haven't managed. The Only Millhouse, good to see you again. The Only Millhouse says, I have to go soon, so we'll watch the landing and catch up. Have you come up with your excuses yet? Excuses, yeah, so what are they? Well, we haven't done the 321 NEO for a while, so I think that's more than enough of an excuse. And it's windy. And it's windy, so there we go. Excuses filed. Vladimir says, hi, are there any chance we can see the charts video? I like the idea. Yes, Vladimir, charts video coming tomorrow. Yeah. It's processing as we speak. As I said, these days it seems to take YouTube a long time to process the videos. I don't know why, whether it's me or the length of the videos or what's changed. Plus it takes my computer a while to render them because we render them at higher resolution than the streams. And I increased the bit rate so that you don't get that blurry effect as I look around the cockpit. But either way, it's now a good couple of hours to render the video, a couple of hours to upload it, a couple of hours for YouTube to process it. Holding with the A321X is a good question. What? Oh, see this? Now, this is something that the real airplane doesn't do. The real airplane would convert, usually on its own. I think it would do it in selector speed. Goodness me, I'm not sure. Last time I tried that. But anyway, as we descend, that Mach number is going to go into the red, so we don't want that. So I'm going to have to select my speed of 300 knots now. Anyway, vertically, we've got out magenta, so it's going to level off at 160 for this constraint at Irkut, which is good news. But still a bit annoying about the managed descent speed. I'm not sure what I've done there. Very interesting. It could be that it's moved the descent, the decel point further back. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. No worries, Sven. Ollie says there can be no excuses today. This is you and your element. Well, there's always excuses. It's the wind, exactly. Hello, Van der Veen says, how would you do a holding with the A321X? Yeah, with the A321X, you'd have to do it manually, and I keep meaning to do a video on that. I had to do the tracking video, which I've done a while ago now. It's just so much to do. There's always so many videos to make. MS Pro says, as a fellow flight sim enthusiast myself, what would be the required runway length for the 321? Really depends. A light 321 you could get into a surprisingly short runway. It depends if you want to add in the safety margin. 2,000 meters is totally doable, but getting below 2,000 meters is starting to be a noticeably short runway for a 321. A really heavy weight, 2,000 meters could even be too short. But in my mind, anything over 2,000 is usually fine. Obviously, that means you need a headwind. And there's any ice or anything like that, then everything goes out the window. Could need a lot of room. Same with failures, of course. I've got no add-ons for clouds or weather. This is stock graphics. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be because of the flight plan discontinuity, but that is a possibility, Rasmus, yeah. Oscar said, we'll be flying the CRJ until the custom autopilot releases. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, the CRJ autopilot, I've had no trouble with. Very impressed with it. Hi, Nicholas. Lauren V says, I just imagine the dude from The Big Lebowski flying a CRJ and narrating about how delivery really brings us in together. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure why he's called the dude or if he based it on The Big Lebowski. You're welcome, Airbus Pro. But those numbers I give you there, that you can get. There are calculators available online, and that's what you need to do, really, in terms of what's too short. But like I say, in a light enough airplane with 2,000 meters in the sim, you should get in. But we apply all sorts of margins, and we calculate it every flight in real life based on the wind and everything like that. There's no just rule of a number. Out constraint, there we go. We don't see that very often on this channel. So it's leveled off, out constraint, and it should, once we pass the air core, work its way down. Again, though, I'm surprised at why this dot's going below it here. It should plan to be here as well. I'm not entirely convinced about the coding here. Possibly the hold's messed it up. Axel says, do you like the 321 more than the 320? I see you fly the 321 more often. I only have the ToLiss 321. I don't have a 320 in X-Plane. And I only fly the 320 in Microsoft Flight Simulator because I don't have a 321. I like them both. My favourite in windy conditions is the 320. The 321 is nice to be on though, and the 321 NEO is lovely because it's so quiet. Those lovely quiet NEO engines are way back when you're in the, it's a longer machine, so I like both. But on a windy day, 320 please. 37. Obviously that's my preference. It's no better or worse in the sense that I'm just more used to 320, but in the same conditions, it's still fine obviously to use the 21.
At 170 for 160 at Eco.
Lauren V says, is the autopilot on ILS still buggy on the CRJ, or has Aerosoft released the patch already? Lauren V, good point. That's one of the two bugs I know of. The other one was the flap at 1 not showing up on the speed tape. But the ILS, if you set the course to the right source, to the ILS source, instead of using FMS, I think in the real airplane you could use FMS. talking about the CRJ here, guys. But anyway, as you see in my streams, I set it to ILS, and then it seems to fly the ILS absolutely fine. I had no trouble. Did I have trouble on the first one? I can't remember now. Did I have to disconnect for a bit? Anyway. Paddy says the CRJ needs a tape deck for the dude's tapes.
From the control, very good evening. Transfer to Golf, passing flight level 300.
Airbus Pro, yeah, I have tried the old flight sims like FS 2004.
Newcastle, so I'll just call you in turn. The Zimex 179 London, hello. It's a Rimtail 1 November arrival.
There we go.
Descend flight level 170, speed 280 knots.
The controller's doing a good job with all that. It's very nice of them to entertain us.
170, speed 280 knots, Manta 179.
So I don't want to. There's a problem here. This controller's
Jersey 320 on frequency.
very busy.
Affirmative.
Now in real life we mustn't go past ETSES, but what
Jersey 320, thanks very
there's
much.
a risk here that I'm going to just turn around back into the traffic arriving.
Flight level
So it may not be a good idea for me to actually enter that hold.
Jersey 320, speed 250 knots.
Yeah, flat 3 landing we can do. Yeah.
Jersey 90 on frequency.
See, the controller said I'll call you. I might check in. Manta 265, we're descending flight level 100 to the ETSES hold.
265 London, roger, descent flight level 80, speed 230 knots.
Descend flight level 80, 230 knots. Would you like us to enter the hold, Manta 265?
Negative, you can leave ETSES heading 015 degrees.
Thanks very much. Leave ETSES heading 015 degrees, Manta 265. Okay, I told you, like, you've got to be careful. You've got to get your call in. Yeah. Although that's the procedure, if you let that happen, the controller may not be impressed. Now, ultimately, that's what we'll be in the right to do that, but if we haven't managed to talk to them, but it's not great. Anyway, we've been cleared down to flight level 80 by that controller, so there it is. I'm going to do it in open descent, and he wants us to slow down. So open descent and 230 knots. There it is. Next, I'm going to pull the heading, and then just wait until we get to ETSES, and then make the right turn to 015. We're obviously catching the airplane in front of us, so going to open, there we go, 015. Going to open descent will allow us to slow down. There's LS on both sides, Indian November Whiskey Charlie, that is the ILS tuned, and we're now heading over to the ILS. Right. This is VATSIM, Airbus Pro, VATSIM. Approach, checklist briefing confirmed, decamp status is checked. Going below 10,000 feet, let's get those landing lights on, seatbelt signs on. Yeah, sorry, I'll start that checklist again. You don't want to interrupt checklists like that, that's bad. So, approach checklist is briefing confirmed, decamp status checked, seatbelts on, barra F, we're still on standards, so we'll change that shortly when they clear us down. MDADH set at 439, engine mode selector to normal. That's the approach checklist almost done, we just need to get that QNH in.
Right heading 350 degrees, descend flight level 130.
Right heading 350 degrees, descent flight level 130, Manta 179.
Easy 957, descend flight level 110.
Oscar says, I have one problem with the CRJ. Sometimes it's oscillating to the left and right after making turns in nav mode with autopilot engaged. Okay, I haven't seen that one, I must confess. That's why I want to fly it a bit more, you know, get more deeper into it.
265, I'm going to establish you from the north, turn left heading 350 degrees, descend flight level 70.
Roger, left heading 350 degrees, descend flight level 70, Manta 265. Yeah, it's really busy, the controller's doing a great job. But what are we going to do about that? We've already slowed down to 230. I'm going to pull the vertical speed and go to 500 feet per minute. We now know we have a lot of extra track miles. We're going to have to go all the way around the north and back round and in. So I'm going to just back off the rate of descent. We've got no problem with the height now.
Check set Bravo uniform speed 180 knots. Speed 180 knots. You can select it Bravo uniform.
Land control, good evening. Tango looks 83 November. We wish you flight level 350, direct Amped.
Go 63 November, London control, roger. Good evening.
London control, good evening again. No shuttle 9000 and request flight level 310. We are now proceeding to Guinness Point.
Shuttle line 001 London, roger. Climb flight level 310, Lovell 5 Fox for arrival.
So Matthew Presley, does the real CRJ have that oscillation at all with the autopilot? Brandon, yeah, the shadows fix. I keep meaning to apply that. I get nervous fiddling with any background files on the simulator in case it interacts with the ToLiss or anything like that, I must confess. So I try, unless it's really, really, really worth it, I try to avoid fiddling with the core of my simulator, I must confess. This controller's doing a great job dealing with us all, plus using the Manta call sign, very proud. And there you go, we can see our ORBX scenery. And there's the tower, the Emirates Tower stands out. Emirates do fly in here with, I think, a 777. I don't have the 319 ToLiss, Mariner Halley, no. People do like the jokey shadows fix. Okay, I may have to do that. You know, I didn't used to have shadows. I mean, they're okay over there. They, on my old computer, they seem to be pretty good, but when I transitioned to this one, it changed. Adam says, need to go early. Bye. Bye. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, we're taking a little bit longer to get in here. So I'm going to pass through the overhead of the airport. A typical thing I have in mind is if I'm about 7,000 feet above the airport and 250 knots as I go overhead, then I'll be fine. Unless their traffic cut you in unusually tight. Likewise, if we were downwind, so if he turns us now east to intercept from the south, again, 7,000 feet, 7,000 feet, 250 knots would be fine. ORBX starting to strain. Now I do have ORBX for the whole of the north, but it does hit my frame rate a bit while streaming. Not whilst not streaming, but it does cause me problems while streaming, so it's better for me just to have the airport. It's quite good, they include quite a nice area. Newcastle's a funny airport to fly into. The one thing you'll notice about Newcastle is it is... Anyone landing down there? The funny thing about Newcastle Airport is it's... 4,000 feet, QNH 1014, Manta 265. Perfect. 4,000 feet, QNH 1014. Right, 4,000. There it is, and blue. And that's the end of the approach checklist, because now we can say Barra F QNH 1014 is set, which is about what we expected from air traffic control, because you remember we put in our perf page 1013. Worth checking the sensibility of whatever weather you had to make sure that's roughly what you expected. Airbus Pro, good to see you. Running 065, Manta 265. There we go.
Landing control, Golf Bravo, Romeo Lima Romeo with your flight level 3000.
Thanks, Airbus Pro. See you later, Sam. Friendly Cartoon says, do you know about the Airbus Beluga? We'd love it. We've flown it twice on the channel. Big fans of the Beluga. Big, 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 big fans. Sam says, Emirates fly 777 daily out of EGNT. There you go, daily. Fantastic. There's a good joke by ZOXH. Newcastle more like Oldcastle, you see, because it gained city status in 1882. Right. So, we're not sequenced. ETSS is the two-way point way behind us, so these predictions are all wrong. I could do immediate exit, not going to make much difference now. More importantly, direct to CF25. Actually, no, let's do FF25 because we could come in that way. And let's just take the opposite end on the runway. Should be on our airport charts. Just make sure we get it right. 066. Radial in. Now it draws out that centre line. Insert. No nav intercept. That's fine. We're going to pull heading to maintain heading 065. Now we're getting a little bit high now. We should be down at 4,000. So I'm going to pull that thrust idle open descent. Yeah, while I've been busy chatting. So now we're going to go down 9 miles out. Good distance out actually. Did I just miss my call? That would be very embarrassing.
Jersey 320 descent flight level 70.
Good. Right, out over the water. Sun's starting to set. Loads of room now. I'm not sure where the traffic in front of us is. It's not showing up on TCAS. It normally does. Oh well. Luckily we have our own TCAS. There's the plan. Oh wow, we got loads of miles. No problem.
flight level 330, the Laurel 5 Foxtrot arrival.
Laurel 5.
So the Thompson has, yeah, that's about right. The Thompson left just in front of us, didn't they? Well, there wasn't easy in front of us. That's Channel 8 Bravo uniform. Also got my VAT map.
445 London, Roger, climb flight level 240.
Climb flight level 240, Ryanair 445. Put control, good evening, Channel 73 Mike, climbing flight level 3.
Taking even longer than I thought. 500 feet per minute.
265, turn right heading 165.
Right heading 165, Manta 265.
Easy 90, runway.
Riding 165, getting onto the intercept. So my only concern now here is the speed. He's not giving us another speed. They usually will. If they're speed controlling you, they'll tell you again. I may ask him. I'm not sure where he's sequencing us. I'm a little surprised at that turn. I think we're going to fit behind the Thompson. But yeah, at some point here I need to slow down. Good headwind on final, so we won't have too much difficulty. 15 miles out, that's fine. After passing 15 miles, I want to be below 250. And by 10 miles, I want to be getting back to 200. Both of those we're still well within meeting. Marissa says, I love your videos. Have a question, maybe you can answer. I can never find DHMD8 on charts. Pretty new, not sure where to start. It's down here in the Jefferson if you're using Navigraph. I've got a charts video coming out. It won't cover approach charts, but it will cover departure charts. Approach chart tutorial coming soon on the channel. Now, I need to listen out for this right turn.
179, speed 230 knots, descent to altitude 5,000 feet.
Controller's sounding a bit exhausted. We're going to miss this turn. I'm going to start slowing down on my own here because.
Jersey 320, turn left, heading 185.
The reason I'm doing this is it's hard to intercept at 220 knots. It's going to bring us in from the south now. Right, speed check. We're going to go to flaps 1. That gives us the option here. Start getting the speed back. Now it's okay, we're a long way out, so we can easily just intercept from the south. But I want to be back at sort of 200 knots as I fly the intercept.
524 with you, just at 5,000.
Service 524 London, Roger. Fly heading 185, climb flight level 190.
I mean, it's safe to do what we're doing. That Jersey, hopefully, is going through the overhead, so we're going to come in like that Thompson, I think. It's just incredibly busy. There's out.
Easy 90, vacated on to Bravo. Channel 8 Bravo uniform, runway 025, clear to land 23016, gust 26.
Oh, it is breezy. You can feel the breeze as well.
Manta 265, right turn, head 290 degrees, descent to altitude 3,500 feet.
Right hand heading 290, descend 3,500 feet, Manta 265.
Easy 957, descent to altitude 3,500 feet, the QNH 1014. Descend to 3,500.
Okay, there's vertical speed, there's heading 290, and there you go.
290, welcome to Newcastle.
So this is why I drew it from FF, because CF was out here, and it's just in case we get cut inside. It saves me the workload of having to redo that. So CF was out here somewhere, but you'll see we're probably going to intercept in between the two. So this way, I don't have to sequence it again. Yeah, I'm glad to hear the Jersey coming along as well. Yeah, it's great. We haven't had Jersey on the channel at all until recently. Okay.
I'm going to have to revect you now, so turn right.
Oh no, Tomjet's missed the ILS. Let's put them to the back of the queue for a bit.
Turn right, heading 065, easy enough. Negative, that was for the Tomjet, not for you. Just carry on as you were. Carry on, what is it? Easy enough, better.
Oof, that is breezy. We might see some ground speed mini here.
It's a deconfliction service. Fly heading
So a wind 22018. If it's any stronger than that, we'll get some ground speed mini here.
Easy 957, turn right heading 155.
Right, 200 knots, 11 miles out. That's okay, but we need to get a bit of descent in or slowing down
Jet 3
soon.
Zero Whiskey, descent to altitude 3,500 feet. Zimex 265, descent to altitude 2,000 feet on the heading cleared ILS approach runway 25.
Send 2,000 feet on a heading cleared ILS 25, Manta 265, thank you.
Jersey 320, turn right heading 310 degrees.
Okay, there's vertical speed 2,000. He hasn't given us speed control, but now we're within 10 miles. I want to slow down, so I'm going to put flaps 2 out. Now 2,000 feet per minute is going to be too much with flaps 2, so let's do 700 feet per minute. And now we're getting under control. We're cleared for the approach on the heading, descending to 2,000 feet. So there's approach of both autopilots, Cat 32 autopilot 1+2. Now, 1,000 feet per minute is going to be required just to maintain that glide slope. So let's go to 1,200 from here. With the flap 2 drag out, that'll be fine. Remember, guys, we've got a strong headwind as we turn onto final, so we have options. There's Lockstar glide slope star. Just check our go around altitude. 2,500. If you'd use speed brakes now, you want to think carefully about whether you need to bring them in, but we haven't. So there's 2,500, 180 knots, just passing through 8 miles, a little bit fast, but turning into a strong headwind. So there we go, 17 knots from the left. It is breezy and murky, but there we go. James Keats, thank you very much for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it, James. Thanks for supporting the channel. There's a radio altimeter that matches up. We're out over the water just about, just some low-level terrain, so that's worked out nicely. We're not really slowing down, so I'm going to put the gear down just to help out. There's the gear. Thank you, James, for your $5 donation. James says, looks like I'm just in time. Good luck. We're all counting on you. Thank you very much, James. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along. Okay. We're slowing down. We're doing a nice speed for air traffic control, which is good news because they've obviously got people behind. You'll notice the going attitude now is white because it's not armed. There's no out mode armed until we go around. Only the 321 NEO shows that. The 320 NEO and the old 320s don't do that. Anyway, gear down. Arm those speed brakes, get those last lights on. Let's configure fully now. Flaps 3. And I'm going to put flaps full out. There's a speed warning. It's upset because the airplane's losing energy. That's why getting those flaps out is a good idea here. It's one of those occasions, maybe MCT, but potentially a go around, really. Anyway, the speed call out has gone away. We corrected it by letting the power come on. The auto thrust did that eventually. Let me just get in the seat position. Right, it's windy. That's my excuse, guys. Very much so.
EC 548, descent to altitude 5,000 feet, the QNH 1014.
Right, landing checklist. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in.
5 runway 25, clear to land, service wind 23016 gust 24.
Cleared land, 25 Manta 265. Right. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in speed mode. Go around altitude 2,500 feet is set. Eco memo landing the blue. That's it. Thanks again, James, for your donation. Right. Now, what you can do is you go to the nav mode, you'd actually see traffic behind you on the TCAS, but it's not working very well today. So there's the easy. They're quite a way behind us. Look at all the traffic coming in. That controller is working really hard. Anyway, we'll focus on our landing, so we're stable at 1,000 feet. Clear to land. Next thing to do is land. Oh, it's getting slow. Yeah. Turbulent conditions. If you do it quick enough, we're a bit late to it now, and it usually results in a float. You could, for example, put 143 in there, and it will target a higher speed, gives you a bit more buffer. But you might see us float as a result of that. It's not always a good idea, because ground speed mini should deal with that for you. Anyway, enough talking. Got our medium auto brake, which I'll be glad of, because when it's really windy, you want to have that auto brake in, because you want to get slowed down and get the lift off the wings as quickly as possible. Yeah, so you see how fast we are now because of that. It'll help us avoid those speed warnings, but it puts this nose down situation. Right, autopilot off. Right, so this is just a case of get it safely on the ground, really. Newcastle is bad. It can be really turbulent here. Right, the glide slope is doing its usual X-plane thing, but we want to keep it coming down, or we'll find ourselves running out of runway. Strong crosswind from the left. It feels more nose down than I would expect, but there we go. idle thrust, nose right. There's touchdown. Get the reversers out. Now, not much of a float there, so I think the overlay will probably complain about the vertical speed there and make it look really nasty. But we'll see the replay. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, brakes medium, taking the strain. Reverses to idle now at 70 knots. Let's get rid of those auto brakes by manually taking over and get ourselves clear of this runway. Right. There we go. So welcome to Newcastle. That is what a windy day at Newcastle is like. This is where X-Plane, you know, it comes out with fantastic simulation sometimes. Now we're taking too long on the runway here, but we've got a bit of space. And there's the Emirates Tower. Off we go to the right. Sounds like it worked out in the end anyway. There we go. Oh, slow down. Just trying to sort out because that brakes. Let's get off the runway. Go, go, go. Yeah, that was the X-Plane. I don't know whether it's X-Plane or whether it's the ToLiss, but anyway, that was really, really nice windy conditions. It really felt like the real airplane does in the wind. Right, here we go then. Oh, what was 104 was it? There you go. Again, definitely not the important thing in that one. Short runway, windy, just about being safe. But there we go. Glad it worked out. It's nice when it does sometimes. The key thing there was getting that drift off in the flare, which luckily worked out for us. Otherwise, even if it was a smooth touchdown, if you land with drift on, you really feel it. It feels like a much worse landing. Right, clear the runway then. Flaps up. Disarm those spoilers. Luckily, the replay in X-Plane works really well. Strobes off, landing lights off, get the APU up and running. Yeah, luckily the replay works well, so we can do all of this and it's fine. Thanks, Danjay, for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it. Another great flight. Learn from you every bit. Thanks. You're very welcome, Danjay. Thanks for coming along. This controller is doing amazing work. I'm going to have to thank him if I get the chance. So we're clear of the runway because we've passed this stop bar. Manta 265, runway vacated.
Manta 265, roger, contact ground 121725, bye-bye.
121725, thanks so much for your help today, Manta 265.
Bye-bye, easy 548, descent to altitude 3,500 feet.
121725. Let's see the easy lands. They're going to be on our tail though, so I have to get moving. Very nice, yeah. Windy conditions. Newcastle ground, Manta 265, vacated, Bravo.
Manta 265, Newcastle ground, good evening, welcome to Newcastle, taxi stand 6 via Bravo.
Via Bravo to stand 6, thank you, Manta 265, great to be here. Right, stand 6. Let's get out of the way of our colleague. Stand 6 is just here. I think that's where the Embraer is. Or maybe not, maybe we're lucky. 7. Oh, it might be alright actually. I think we're okay. Fantastic news. Yeah, the ORBX does have some airplanes added in. Right, so slow it down. Must remember my brake pedals aren't working yet. I've totally forgotten to set that up. There's stand 6 over on the right. Hopefully Sky Chefs will move out the way. What we'll do actually, we can go and watch the others land. So many of us here today. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So we had the fun of the departure out of Innsbruck, which is quite different. And then a really windy approach here into Newcastle. Newcastle, as I said, can be very turbulent, even in relatively nice winds. Oh, that's too much. Left, left, left. Slow down a bit. Get it under control. Get the last of the lights off. There we go. I think we need to go a little bit left. Then a little bit right. Not that much right. And now we're looking for the stop line. Yeah, the Embraer is static scenery indeed. Yep. Yeah, that's no one's at fault there. That's just how it is. Oh, there we go. Oh, probably not quite enough there. I was doing the wrong stop line, clearly. Let's squeeze it right on to the stands. So we can go and watch a couple of other landings and then we'll do our replay. Ooh, we really don't fit on this one, do we?
Easy 9 at
There we go.
Good evening, welcome to Newcastle.
Right.
Stand 1, correction.
Parking brake is set. APU is definitely available. Let's shut it down.
Stand 9 for Bravo Alpha.
Everyone's getting low. Beacon off. There we go. Right, guys. Thank you all so much for coming along to the stream today. Really appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Lots of different things. So here's our colleagues. Oh, I think we've missed the landings. There's the Easy 957 taxiing in. We're going to squeeze into the terminal. Look at that livery. You can't miss our livery anywhere, can you? Ryan Videos, thanks for coming along. Thanks for those of you who flew along. Lovely to see the first choice livery out again with the Thompson. Yeah, thank you all for flying along. Oh, it looks like we've got a go around from the Manta 179. Yeah. Oh no, disaster. That's because just a bit of congestion on the ground. Still, there we go. These things happen. So what we'll do is we'll go and do our little replay. So, as I said, thank you all for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to those who kindly donated. I'm going to disconnect from VATSIM. And we are going to what we're going to do is jump into replay mode. Sorry there, guys, just sorting something out. And zoom over to approach. Right. So yeah, let's go have a quick look at the landing, and then we'll do our couple of exterior replays. Outro music to come soon. E-Boss, thanks for coming along. Ollie Nut, goodbye. Thank you. There we go then. So yeah, as I said, ORBX scenery. They kindly provided it for this stream, which has been great. We've used it for both. No, what's happened there? Okay. And then it loses the ORBX scenery. I've had this happen before. Very strange. My X-plane just dumps it. I don't know why. Very odd. Very odd. Oh, it seems to be back. Good news. Okay, so there you go. Crossing from the left into the flare. Right rudder. Landing on this upwind wheel first is ideal, but not too much bank or anything like that. And it works out. Yeah. Not a long touchdown zone, though. It did feel particularly nose down, and it would do because we came in with too much... a little bit of extra speed. So you know how I added that speed? I wouldn't do that in the real airplane normally because Ground Speed Mini sorts out the gust problem for you. Now the Neos don't have as much Ground Speed Mini built in, so maybe I would have added the speed in the Neo because funnily enough we were a bit fast, and even then we didn't float along. So the Neos are very different. They also, with those bigger fan blades, they decelerate quicker when you idle the thrust levers, so idling them a bit later tends to be the thing I do. However, you've still got to idle them before touchdown. So wobbling about, in we come. There's touchdown. Great fun. Fantastic. Great to be back in the ToLiss and back in our Manta livery. Let's go back. Go for our replay. And I'm going to say, as ever, thank you to the moderators for coming along. Thank you to those who've kindly donated towards the channel. Thank you for those who flew along and those who've joined in the chat and those who subscribed. Really appreciate it from everyone. It's so kind. I can't believe where the channel's at. But yeah, it's great to have you guys all here. And more live streams, videos coming soon. Charts video going up on the channel tomorrow morning. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's watched and subscribed and commented. And if you're not commenting or anything, just thank you for watching. And we will see you again in another video very soon. Let me get the music hopefully up and running in time this time. I'm getting pretty bad at it. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.